Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our semi-finals for League of Legends for IECS. It's been a long road, but we're down to 4 teams that are going to battle it out for a spot at our in our finals 2 weeks away, of course. But I am joined by Zathdos once again. How are you doing today, Zath?
I'm doing good. Do you know how prepared I am for today, Heltic? I've got with the chair. I'm standing up because I am prepared. I'm prepared for a hype showing, of course. Today is going to be the semi-finals. 2 amazing teams coming up here today. The last TUD team left, and of course, QUB as well, Bleh Cats.
Yeah, I do believe. I think there is one other. Yeah, TUD Meow and UCD Leviathans is the other semi-final. So it's the last stand, the last of 3 QUB teams that made it into the playoff stage against one of the 2 remaining TUD teams. So this is really it. If TUD last week played against the TUD team and they won, QUB now have to play against another TUD team to get to finals, and then there's a potential to have to face the 3rd TUD team to go to win finals, which is an insane.
And the difficult part is they've gone against, let's say, the easier TUD teams as the ones they had to beat to get here on the QB sides is TUD Gibbons, but they placed 4th in the regular split. Now they're going against legitimately the best team in this tournament from the regular split, being TUD Diddy Kong, a team that we've personally been able to cast a few times, have been very dominant in their showings. And if QUB Bleh Cats want any opportunity of winning here today, they really have to step up to that next level. Unfortunately for them, some of the players they have on their roster, I think they can do it.
Yeah, they for sure can. And of course, we're going to see Wiggler has returned. He used to, of course, we used to have the Wiggy Wanderers who won a split of IECS, and then Wiggler went away. But he has now returned. Nima Nation is now there, QUB's A team. They were actually knocked out in the in the quarterfinals by TD Meow, who are in the other semi tonight. And Wiggler's team that he has, that he's championing, captaining, is in the semifinals. QUB Bleh Cats. So it's curious to see whether Wiggler can get another team to finals, and not only any team, but what would be QUB's technically B team.
Technically is a hard word for it because it was just a ton of friends who weren't going to play the split that decided, if we all do it together, it's worth the attempt. So the A team is everybody who wanted to play that wasn't in this massive friendship group. So this team, realistically, in my head, was always that A team. But that just shows the power of QUB having 3 different teams, 2 of them making it all the way towards the finals. And now with the last QUB left, if they knock out this TUD side, there's a big opportunity that there's only 1 TUD left. If you could beat the best team, maybe you could beat that second. They already beat the 4th team as well. But with this getting all hot and ready for us, the big things I'm looking forward to is just seeing the way that they want to be drafting, as today is a best of 3, if I am correct. Jess,
Yes.
it's down below me.
But it is fearless is the main thing. It's a best of 3 fearless. So of course, last week we only got to see 2 games, so we didn't get to see the full effect of fearless, but we may see more games tonight. But of course, for anyone who's been living under a rock and doesn't know what fearless is, we are playing hard fearless, which means that anything that is picked in game 1 is completely banned for game 2, meaning that as you go into game 2, there's 20 bans, because you have the 10 ban champions for the first game plus the 10 bans you get to ban in the second game. And then if we get into a game 3, there's 20 ban champions, the 10 ban champions from game 1, the 10 ban champions from game 2, or play champions from game 1 and 2, and then the 10 extra bans in game 3, which means that if you're a one trick and you play your champion in one game, it is gone, it is out of it. So you need to be on top of your form. You need to have multiple champions ready to go. You have to have multiple compositions. It really makes people who've been playing the game for a long time have to reach down deep into their pool to find what they can play.
You're saying people who've played the game for a long time? If they're one trick, sure, they have to go very deep in towards their pools. Maybe 10 years ago, they played a certain champion. But I think this mostly affects the newer players, the rookies on these organizations, because you can get on towards these teams by just being good at 2 or 3 different champions. But if we get towards that 3rd game, plenty of bans already taken off the board. You could start opting into different styles. For example, Poppy, an amazing champion to stop hard engage. You take that out in the first game by either picking it or they pick it themselves. Second game, build a full engaged team composition. Get yourself the Vi, get yourself the Talia. You're in a really solid situation to big ideas coming out there, but it won't affect till game 2 or 3. We have to start figuring out what do both of these teams want to do in this first game. As we talked about before, Wiggler, very high stakes, has been in this situation before, knows how to calm down his team. But how's Diddy Kong going to be?
Yeah, and this Diddy Kong side are full of people who we've seen previously. You know, Mongolian Yeti, Zig, Blaze Boy. These are all we've casted them earlier in the season. We've also seen them in previous seasons. Some of them have been able to make it to finals. Some of them have been knocked out in semis and quarters. So keep in mind, TUD Diddy Kong are not necessarily the top TUD team as well. They also want to get to finals. It was TD Meow that won our last finals in winter, and now with Diddy Kong being in a semi-final and Meow being on the other side of the bracket, it means that we could have a TUD finals, and TUD and Diddy Kong trying to solidify themselves as that #1 team in TUD.
And it may be a little sad that we don't have that major final in person that we did last time. But if TUD versus TUD happens, there's going to be a campus rivalry for sure. Both of the teams battling it out on both different sides trying to win it. And whoever goes towards maybe a party that night could really celebrate well. Of course, QB want to try and stop this. I think there's plenty of different options for it. Wiggler are going to be the main person for them. But I want to talk about TUD Diddy Kongs for just a little bit longer. Because when I look at all of these players, there's one person that just brings joy to my heart, and it has to be their jungle of Mongolian Yeti. I've been around for about 2 years. This man has been around for the exact same amount of time. Somebody who, by name, absolutely loves that Nunu. He runs around the rift if it's ever open, gets to go for a lot of those ganks and bully people out. And I don't know, that playstyle really describes Irish Collegiate.
Yeah, and we'll have to see whether they allow it through as well, because, like you said, it is a one of his main champions, and I don't think he's ever really allowed to play it in collegiate. It's just like that, especially because these players all like play in like for fun tournaments as well within Quantex and things like that. So these players know each other regardless of whether they all play on different teams in collegiate, but they've all played in mixed teams throughout Quantex tournaments and stuff like that. So they all know what everyone kind of likes and what to ban away. So that Mongolian's Yetis Nunu is probably going to get banned. I would not be surprised. Just to update you guys on what we're waiting on. Draft. I believe they have completed draft in the third-party tool. We are just waiting on them to begin the in-game draft, and then our draft will pop up at the bottom half of the screen. I believe someone just had to step away for a second, so we should hopefully be getting into game very shortly, or at least into draft very shortly. But I'm curious to see what else gets banned, because there's been a lot of changes. I don't know if you've heard, but there is a Gwen jungle 3-minute 1 smite clear, which is disgusting, by the way.
Yeah, so if you guys want to know who the new hot picks of the jungles are, it isn't just Gwen, it's Neferi as well. Both of those champions absolutely dominate solo queue. Honestly, if you don't play jungle and you want a champion to pick up, I sound like one of those adverts you see at the end of the night, but pick up Neferi. The main reason I prefer it over Gwen is you press ult, you kill people. Think is very high priority. I would first pick it if we're both of these teams, but I'm not. So let's see what they will be picking and banning. And Heltic, just between you and me, they are picking in order that they did the drafting, right?
I will tell you if it changes.
Please.
But
okay, because there are times when we get in towards these custom matches where they will just pick their own champions. And of course, us as people who try and analyze the game, we try and actually understand how the draft goes. But so far, picks and bans seem to be the same. They're taking a bit of time in between, so I think we're solid here. Pantheon coming through, same with that luck, something that Zig and Wiggler are very comfortable on. Taken out off the board, as Wiggler's a person who likes to play more of those enchanters and of course those supportive mages like an Oriana in that mid.
Yeah, and straight away we're going to see the Syndra, the Draven banned away. Draven super strong in that bot lane, super especially just because when you have aggressive bot laners and just being able to run them down, there's the Nunu taken away as well. It is going to be, looks like it's going to be a Gwen picked up. As we were talking about, we don't know whether that's going towards the jungle. Okay, I do believe they are in role order, so they are just going to be spamming through this draft here. So I will go through and explain how we got to this position. So we first pick we had was a Sivir B1, followed up by a Nocturne Orianna B2-3, a Zoe B a R1 R2 Nocturne Orianna, then Jin Zhao Zoe B2 B3, and Mbessa B R3. So while we're waiting for them to do the second round of bans, so this is our current standings. This is everything that was actually picked in that situation. So we are seeing a Gwen top lane. It's not the jungle like we thought it was going to be, and we're seeing the Jin Zhao come out. I didn't ever think I would see Zoe on my screen. I'm gonna be honest with you, because this champ is so hard to pilot, and so hard to get like a lot of value out of if you don't know how to play her.
I definitely think you can get a lot of value against the Orianna in the mid lane, but this Nocturne pick completely counters Zoe. You try and trouble bubble them, put them to sleep. He just absolutely says, no, I'm going to spell shield it and just run you down. So Diddy Kong's mid laner will do very strong early on, but won't be as strong in towards this late game. But when I'm looking at both of these team compositions, it's very clear that Diddy Kong want to go for more of a poke-oriented team fighting comp. The Sivir and, of course, that Lulu hard scaling towards the late game. While on the opposite side, Bleh Cats are mostly doing the same thing. However, with this Ambassador on the side lane and the great pick potential with that Orianna and Nocturne, I'm really looking forward towards this level 6 and see what they can do with the hard engage and with the invisibility as well. It means that this Twitch, if he positions correctly, will be completely untouched in these team fights.
Yeah, from Nocturne delivering an Orianna ball, invisible Twitch, and then a Nico pretending to be something. They're just trying to jump out at them and surprise them. It's going to be a very interesting level 6 once that comes online. I do think the Nocturne Orianna R1, R2 is really strong. It just secures your mid jungle duo. You get the delivery ball for the shockwave. You also have, the Mbessa as well as a secondary delivery system. If the Nocturne gets picked off or can't get it away, Mbessa can go in with the public execution, and then you can shockwave off of the Mbessa, so it's really strong. And of course, Twitch and Nico are just so annoying, especially with Pop Blossom and everything like that. On the opposite side, when we look towards the TUD side, I'm curious to see what we get here. Because the Sivir Lulu makes it sound like, and it makes it sound like, or their comp is kind of structured on having them being ran at, which makes complete sense when you look at what Bleh Cats has done so far. Zoe with the trouble bubble, use a Crescent Guard to knock everyone away, Gwen force field as well. So it's gonna come down, to me at least, to keeping the Sivir and keeping the Zoe alive, and the Gwen and Jin Zhao creating space, and of course with the Lulu keeping their front line up, it should be a lot easier for them to do that. But yeah, I think honestly, thematically, I think Bleh Cats have a little bit of an edge here.
Well, that's a very interesting point, right? Because you mentioned that Diddy Kong, they don't really have engage. They're trying to stop Bleh Cats from having that big engage by dissuading it with the Xing Zhao ultimate, maybe Ziva's shield, or the ultimate from the Lulu as well. And that's really what it comes down to. Can Bleh Cats, once they get towards this level 6 mark and want to hard engage, do they have enough damage to burst out the Sivir and the Zoe? Or does Diddy Kong have enough disengage tool to allow the Sivir and Lulu to be able to pump out damage in these team fights? It's going to be hard to say, because I like the Gwen thematically on its own. It's able to defend if anybody tries to jump in. You'll have to jump in towards the Gwen as well. The only problem is I would have much rather had a major tank in that top lane, and Ornn could have done so well for the side of Diddy Kong. But we will have to see, as early game wise, Bleh Cats, they need to find a big lead, because when we get to late game, I'm massively favouring Diddy Kong just because of that Sivir Lulu combo.
Yeah, and we'll have to see whether, because like we said, it's all going to be protect the president. If they can catch either the Lulu going a little bit deep to ward or trying to clear some vision, and they get Nico pretending to be a ward and catching her out and just hitting her, rooting her up and killing the Lulu before any of these major fights, and they have that growth on cooldown, or Lulu's on a death timer, these fights become so much easier for Bleh Cats. So finding those little picks on towards the Lulu, the Sivir, and the Zoe are pretty much what they're going to be looking at. Now, Zoe is slippery and very annoying to kill if you position correctly. So we're going to have to keep an eye on Zig and see how they manage to work in the, first of all, as they go to level 6, trying to stay alive to make sure that they don't have any issues. But then we're also going to have to see how once we get out of level 6, how the Zoe's positioning is and whether they can actually keep themselves safe.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Zoe, very difficult to pilot, but there is one important thing about that champion. Whenever you use the ultimate to go forward, you have to come back to the exact same spot. So if you get hit by a Nico E, you get hit by an ultimate from, of course, that Nocturne, you are just going to be completely dead. So if you want to go for simplicity, I think the Bleh Cats are definitely in the driver's seat. Remember, this is 4th seed versus 1st. TUD are massively favored coming into this. But we talked about the players, about the prestige they've had, having Wiggler actually coach the native side in Division 2, having so many others being veterans, being in their final years of university. And it's really big to show because they only have this split and I believe one after until they're finishing with uni.
Yeah, and we are just getting onto the Rift now for our game 1 of the evening. I do believe the overlay is just not showing up, so I apologize. I will see if I can get that refreshed and working once again. But for the time being,
Earthshakers.
Yeah, go ahead.
Earthshakers pretending to be a rat. I think we have some Los Ratones fans in front of us. Earthshake again, a little bit of damage over towards the enemy jungler. We'll have to see if they want to do anything with this hard invade. Big possibilities to try and split the map, but most likely just going to be placing a ward there and having a pretty good early game. One major thing to note about this bot lane is it can be pretty aggressive if we can see a really good stomp from the Nico. They don't actually have push pressure. Lulu and Sivir should be able to get prio in that bot lane. And if TUD Bleh Cats want to have difficulties in this game, or sorry, TUD want to have a really good early game, I do expect them to mostly be focusing around this bot side.
Yeah, and we're going to have to see whether they can get out of this early game unscathed. Of course, for anyone who hasn't been playing much League this season, 3 kills, of course, the first kind of milestone in the game at the moment. So you want to try to not give over any early on, and you want to try to find a cheeky little 2v2 kill or something to start getting your team ahead.
Yeah, but definitely be helping out on that, as it will be looking like Xing Zhao starting down towards the bot side. The ward that Wiggler was able to place earlier on will swat him out. So QUB having full vision of where the enemy jungler wants to go, compared to Smelly Sausage pathing down towards the bot side, going to get warded out as well. And there is a slight difference between how both of these junglers like to perform. Nocturne usually likes to just do his full 2 clears without doing anything else onto the map, so his solo laners do have to try their best to survive. As QUB in a matchup that is meant to be difficult early on, going to be able to find themselves priority there. As towards the top lane, and Bessa not going to really have fun at all into the Gwen, especially when we do have the ignite, while you have the flash, of course, onto bots.
Yeah, the Gwen into the Ambessa, super strong, especially like you said, it's actually ignite teleport on the Gwen as well. So playing for these early kills up towards that top side, trying to make sure that Ambessa can't get out of the lane phase with anything too valuable, but also has to be careful because if the Ambessa can get a good trade here, if you accidentally take a tower shot or something like that, turning that fight is so easy for Ambessa to do just with the constant chase down that she has in her kit.
Yeah, definitely on that note. But Xing Zhao pathing towards the top lane, going to be able to support her if somehow they don't have a good early game. As Gwen going for a quick reset, just making sure that they're TPing this early. They must have been chunked out a little bit too much. I'm a little confused about that play. We'll have to see. They do have a better answer for that, as Nocturne still farming towards this bot lane. And honestly, for an Irish Collegiate Series game, their first one, this is really peaceful.
Yeah, we're now got the overlay working, so we now have full vision of the differences in the lanes. I can also, if this wants to work, I believe I can pull up the runes that everyone has selected for tonight's game, so you can see them there. Any of these that you think are different?
Everything seems pretty similar. I'm not a massive fan of the barrier on the Lulu. I'm a lot more favorable towards the Ares. As when you're trying to shield somebody or even use your ultimate, you just get a little bit more out of it compared to the barrier where you have to stand right on top of your opponent. So towards the top lane, bots doing a really good job here.
Yeah, bots. God, you're gonna get killed by the Ignite, though, and that's why you give that Ignite to the Gwen. That was very, very close. Even with Avi basing and having that upgrade, the Longsword versus the Amp Tome comes out on top, and Avi's gonna be very happy with that.
Oh, that's absolutely terrible coming out from bots. He was so close to winning the 1v1. He forces out the TP top lane, but he just didn't have the numbers he needed. So first blood going over towards this top lane. Gwen, Avi scales a lot better than bots when he gets towards those 2-item power spikes. Giving overkill early won't matter just yet, but will matter in the long run, as Mongolian Yeti will be over the wall, seeing if Wiggler was going to overstep, but instead, Smelly Sausage going to be able to bully out here.
Yeah, they can just walk in. They have that prior in mid and bot, so they can continue to just push in here, steal away some camps from Mongolian Yeti, and just try to slow down that Jin Zhao's level 6. Nocturne, a champion that wants to get level 6 as soon as possible, so they have that paranoia available. Or darkness, I can't remember the difference. I think that's, I'm not sure if that was Omens for Valorant or not, but Mongolian Yeti now actually going to come up to contest this Drake. And will be in the pit here. Smelly Sausage has to flash away. Mongolian Yeti going with the Wind Becomes Lightning on top of Wiggler, but now it's a 4 versus 4. Taken very low is Mongolian Yeti, will fall. The remaining members of QUB are so low, and Martin trying to walk up with the Sipper, flash away from the Nico. Meanwhile, in the top side, Avi gonna use the snip, and the needlework to knock down bots once again. Dakin's gonna be taken down as well, and that will be the feat of warfare claimed for TUD.
And TUD winning out on a huge fight up towards the top lane and down towards the bot side as well. As this dragon I thought was a good idea for QUB. They have to push in bot lane. They have Prio in the mid lane as well. But their champions don't have enough items to try and burst out this objective. So it gave enough time for TUD to come in afterwards, get themselves the dragon. And with the top lane winning out here, we have 1,000 gold lead. And this game is really looking rough for QUB now.
Yeah, QUB gonna have to try to recenter themselves. They're only down 600 gold. They didn't actually end up losing the Drake in that little skirmish. They only lost the 2 kills. The 2 kills, and they managed to get 1 back as well. So not a complete loss. Sleepy Trouble Bubble gonna land. Big damage onto Wiggler. Won't kill, but
that's a sick play.
Yeah, and that's when the Zoe combos land, they are very, very obnoxious.
It's like, you know, when you play Dance Stars Revolution, you finally hit all the combinations perfectly. That's how it feels like to play Zoe when that combination truly does land. But the reason that QUB most likely lost that first fight is, we said, when are they the strongest? Level 6 Ori, level 6 Nocturne, being able to burst out with your combination. They were level 5. So, of course, they weren't able to get that dragon, and nobody was as well. As TUD going to be moving up towards the top side. They did get themselves the Void Grubs. Really happy with that early on, especially when they have the Gwen. If they can pick up 6 Void Grubs, they can play a really good 1-4 composition with Abby just bullying out on this side lane.
Yeah, and Avi, of course, using that advantage that they've gotten on the Gwen, went for the Dark Seal as well on their base, has that haunting guys, trying to just... yeah, going for that confidence play, just already has the Ignite back up and can continuing pressuring this in this lane, especially because they know, well, right now they don't have knowledge that Smelly Sausage is level 6, and they also don't know where he is. They know actually that from that ward up towards his Raptors that he probably is gone, or they probably may have seen him walk towards his bot side. So they know he's down bot side. They know he's probably level 6, but he has no real way to intervene on towards this top side. So Avi can just continuing keeping up this pressure on towards bots.
And we can see Wiggler placing his wards down towards his bot side, trying to make it where if they ever want to go engage bot lane, he's close enough to put the ball on towards Smelly Sausage to talk about that combination. But really nice for Mongolian Yeti to hover around here, make sure his bot lane's able to find a reset if they need to, but more importantly, pushing that wave. And when we get further into the game and we see this Gwen start becoming a huge side lane threat, a massive answer they do have is that global ultimate of the Nocturne and Ori to try and pick him off. I'd really love it if QUB could do something in this early game to try and help Mbessa stabilize a little bit more so this Gwen doesn't completely run rampant in this game.
Yeah, and Gwen, after the recent buffs as well, not only jungle has been improved, or top laning has been improved.
Busted.
Definitely one of the best, like, just champions on the current patch. So you do not want this Gwen to look to get really strong. The only silver lining that QUB have, as Smelly Sausage actually finds Zig walking out towards this bot lane or mid lane, but will be able to walk away. The silver lining for QUB is that once, even whether they win or lose this game, that Gwen is gone from this point on. Snip, and the Needlework going down on towards bots, and the Ignite committed as well will chunk them out. But bots trying to just clear the wave as best they can so they can't crash and get another plate, but will just have to give this up here. Does have the TP to come back to lane though.
And that's the most important part, having the teleport available. Smelly Sausage will be nearby, ult available.
Yeah, Public Execution will go down. Shield on top of the Mbessa. Smelly Sausage now going down, but the Jin Zhao is here and has the Crescent Guard up as well. Smelly Sausage has bought some time, but taking a lot of damage. Tower Shot actually landing onto Mongolian Yeti with a little bit more HP. They could turn this. Wiggler now coming in. Orb gonna go down, but the Sleepy Trouble Bubble lands. He's half HP. Will it be enough? It's a big chunk, but it's not enough right now. Dakin has also managed to rope the Ignite from the Zoe, gonna kill off Wiggler in the backside. And now Dakin try to find another onto Avi. Doesn't have the root up. Avi 1 HP. Sleepy Trouble Bubble lands, and Dakin chunked as well. It was looking okay for QUB. They just couldn't find the damage to finish off the carries.
Yeah, and I was curious about why bots took such a heavy trade before trying to teleport back, but this was all part of his idea, try and get Avi to overextend onto him, knowing that Smelly Sausage was walking up. The problem is, you've given 2 kills over, Avi is still super strong, and with Xing Zhao nearby, TUD was able to hold on for long enough and get 2 kills on towards their Zoe, even though QB's mid laner Wiggler was able to rotate first. But even with all of this happening, it's really in favor of TUD. Mid lane's able to pick up a double kill, very strong in towards the Ori we saw before. See another fight.
Smelly Sausage gonna walk in and gonna get chunked out by Mongolian Yeti, and that will be 6 grubs unless they can get in to kill one of these. Bots is very, very far pushed up this wave with no support in tow, so gonna have to walk away from this one. Gonna get chunked by the snip from Avi. We'll just have to lethal step back. And now, as I said, those grubs going over towards the side of TUD, that will be their second objective for that feat completed, as well as 6 grubs on a Gwen who can melt towers.
Yeah, I'd really like if TUD after this tried to look for a tower dive up there and get just more gold in towards their pocket. As QB picking up the first dragon of the game, not really a worthwhile trade. If they were able to win the first dragon before and this was their second, I'd be a lot more in favor of it. But still, 2 minutes until these tower plates will be going down. I want TUD to try and make a play around that. Otherwise, all the pressure they're getting from these void grubs, they're not really using to full effect.
Yeah, bounties towards top and mid right now of 160 gold. Thank you to our lovely overlay, and a 700 gold lead as well towards this top side.
Were you about to say observer? I thought you were complimenting yourself, Rosette Celtic.
No, just the overlay. The overlay is pretty nice. We have to, thank League Broadcast for supplying the overlay for this evening. Of course, it's still in beta, but it's working out fine for us tonight. And Drake taken away by QUB. Which will stop that feat for the time being, because of course you don't want to give Gwen even more free move speed this early on into the game. Earthshaker now actually solo down towards this bot side. Dakin isn't here to help them.
Celtic, there's a really cool play happening towards the top side right now. Sadly, it isn't going to be working out for them, but we see Smelly Sausage and Dakin up there in that minion wave looking to try to bully out Abby. But a nice little ward there is going to be spotting it out. So yet again, QUB trying to make a play on the side of the map, looking on towards Abby, but read perfectly. So with these 6 void grubs, going to be able to pick up 2 tower plates minimum towards this bot side, maybe even 3.
Yeah, it's a bit unfortunate. The timing of the attempt for that minion wave push not going to work out in QUB's favor. And like you said, they lose 2 tower plates for it. Wiggler getting chunked out in mid lane as well. Mongolian Yeti was looking for an angle, but Wiggler backing off means that that play will be called off for the time being and has some jungle camps to clear. So we'll be taking those.
And they didn't go for the actual play I wanted of trying to pressure the top lane with the Gwen, but they've used the advantage of knowing the Gwen can have 2 to 3 people trying to fight them. And when they do that, just get some more gold into your Sivir. As yes, Gwen is very strong in the late game, one of the best champions. But when you have a Lulu Sivir combination, once they get towards 2, more importantly 3 items, they will be starting to win out. And with TUD having a better scaling comp, I'm a big fan of the play they just made.
Yeah, bots continuing to just absorb as much pressure up towards this top side as possible. Gonna get hit with the snip. Force field will go down, and bot's not gonna be able to do too much else.
Does have a big power spike at least. He finished that Eclipse as mid.
Blossom on top of the paranoia gonna come down, and that will be a shutdown going over towards Wiggler in that mid lane. Helping and 2 Darksteel stacks as well, so that will hopefully start helping them get back into this game. But Mongolian Yeti is here to cover for the mid push, so they won't be able to get any plates because of it.
But you take a kill, especially when it's a shutdown on towards your Orianna. You want the main damage source to be that combination of the Ori plus the Nocturne. So both with an item completed in that last play, had enough to kill off Ziggs. Now, the next major objective is going to be the Dragon in 1 minute 40. Both ultimates will be up and available for it. They didn't even actually use the Orianna ultimate from the last play. And the game has become a big low as TUD hasn't been able to exude that pressure with Gwen with 2 kills, especially when bots now already forced out another teleport and importantly has that first dive completed. So that pressure point that TUD had of being super far ahead has been negated for a while just because of how big of a power spike this is for the top laner.
Yeah, and now, like you said, with the lull coming down, now Avi has been doing a great job to just keep bot's health bar as low as possible, so that even though they have that TP advantage, it's really hard for them to be able to use it because they have to base and then TP to whatever fight is going on, which just gives Avi so much time to push the wave and hit the tower. And if they just continue to stop these bases, Avi will just continue to win out on these trades.
And 50 seconds left on towards this major objective. Nico already going for that reset, getting prepared as much as possible. Same with the jungler or Smelly Sausage. This could be a major break point for both of these teams as it will be the second dragon for QUB. But more importantly, TUD, do they even want to contest it? I said about pushing the pace of the game, helping Gwen find a bigger lead. I think they just give up this dragon, play for the top side instead, and just keep trying to keep up this pressure. And that's exactly what Avi's trying to do here, cutting off this wave, clearing it out, so then they could use the Riftail top side if they would want to.
3 minutes until that Arakan spawns. Drake up in 12 seconds as well. Now with that Herald going across over to TUD, Martin very low here. Dakin trying to see if he can find the kill. Pop Blossom got to be spell shielded away from Earthshaker on the wrong side of the tower. The Orianna is here to try cover and will give the shield over towards Dakin. Doesn't have the flash available, but Paranoia going to come down and land on top of that. Nocturne Shockwave going to go down as well. A lot of damage. Smelly Sausage trying to get away. He uses the flash. Heal coming in. Ziggs trying to catch what they can. Earthshaker so low, has to try get away, but the Ignite coming down from the Zoe should seal that kill. And it's so close to being perfect for QUB, but TUD just using that small advantage they have to win out in these fights.
And they used everything on towards the Sivir earlier on in that fight, and that just gives a big possibility for the Zoe to play how they want to. And more importantly, Xing Zhao with those 1.5 items is just so strong in these skirmishy fights as towards top lane.
Ignite and Needlework gonna come out, gonna chunk bots out here. Avi might just try to dive this. Yeah, bots can't stop this tower from going down, and yeah, that will be first tower going over towards TUD as well. Or they already got first tower towards that mid. So feet gonna come across for TUD, and as you can see in their inventory, they have those upgraded boots, the upgraded tier 2 boots. Of course, they have the option of buying the tier 3 boots, but now you're gonna see this probably the bot lane starting to move towards mid as Martin is here to catch this wave. Has Mongolian Yeti and Blazeboy in tow. Wiggler now going to get caught out of position and needs to run for the hills. Has his flash available as he didn't use it in the last fight.
Yeah, Orianna W gives you so much movement speed to get themselves out to safety. And a really great play from Wiggler. Knowing that Martin just overstepped a little bit too long, using the Orianna ultimate, getting himself the kill. Won't have any major effect into the game, but will help us back in a bit of a weird situation.
Yeah, Pop Blossom gonna go up again. Spell Shield doesn't, or he used the Spell Shield a little bit too early. And Zig trying to catch what they can. The public execution lands, and that's going to be another kill over for QUB. Blazeboy super low, but has to use the ult on himself to stay alive. Earthshaker is one hit away from death here. Avi is trying to find the angle, has the needlework up now, but everyone from QUB managing to get away.
And their team comp is trying to burst somebody at the start of it, but Orianna using it already on towards that Sivir to kill them. Of course, they don't have enough damage to take out the Xing Zhao, so they get to turn around the fight, and in the end, it turns out to be a 2-for-2, as both of these teams are only a kill apart and a 2,000 gold lead. But in the game, I'm still favoring TUD for the major reason of this Gwen on the side lane, because they were able to pick up that last dragon a couple minutes ago. You don't have dragon stacking for QUB. They need another 50 minutes minimum to get themselves that soul point, which gives TUD plenty of time to be playing for these sideways and letting Gwen win out against this Ambessa up top, as there's nobody that can actually contest it before and even now.
Yeah, 1.5k gold lead up towards that top, and 1.3 in the jungle.
Yeah, those two items are gonna hurt. I love it when Xing Zhao goes for the Eclipse early on, as when you look at QUB's team composition, they don't have any major tank. The closest thing you get is bots when he wants to build a little bit more bruisery. So we see the full gold graph down below. That one major team fight around that bot lane objective was really the major turning point, putting TD in an advantageous position, as now bots definitely isn't one himself.
Yeah, bot's gonna get caught out by Mongolian Yeti and Avi, and no tower to run home to, no one to be here in support. And will just be taken out. That gives Avi so much time here on towards this bot side. 30 seconds on the death timer for bots. But Atakan is up towards this top side, and it looks like QUB are looking to start it potentially.
It's difficult. If bots survive for another wave, I would say that QUB, if they started it up straight away, they would have the damage. Twitch, 2 items in his pocket. Problem was they weren't nearby it, dying all by himself, and with a 13-second death timer as well, they're going to get this bot lane tower, an extra 675 gold into Avi, which will allow him to complete that last item. And he can even still away the enemy jungle if he wants.
Yeah, he can take away a bunch of these camps. They spotted out the Nocturne up towards this top side, and with Atakan up, he's more likely going to base and run out towards top side as well. So Avi here is free to just continuing taking camps. Will opt to use to go for that base. I believe they were probably like 100 gold short, so that's why they took the Grom, so they can base and grab that next item for themselves, which is just continuing to snowball, and that will be the Gnasher's Tooth completed for Avi. Dakin here misses the binding and will now be caught out. When becomes lightning lands. Knock up onto the real one is unfortunate, but Paranoia going to come down and trying to go on towards the Zoe. Sleepy Trouble will going to go wide. Just chasing them down. Wiggler going to get caught out as well, but the Ambessa now trying to cover off as much damage as they can. Hitting a lot onto Mongolian Yeti, and Wiggler also just trying to, like you said, using that speed up to be able to get away.
Yeah, Dakin was super unlucky to not hit that first engage. And because of that, he gets caught out, and QUB should just leave him alone. Let him to get caught out and try to survive everyone else. But instead, they try to go for the team fight. They lose out and actually force bots to use his teleport. Well, Avi knew that his team was going to win and doesn't use it himself. So TED on the back of this, going to be able to grab themselves the Atakan. Gwen on their own defended and even stealing away their enemy blue buff. TD are in full control of this game. 6,000 gold lead, 2 items on their jungle on top. It's really hard to think of how they can fight
King's
this.
Down now onto the Gwen, but Gwen is immune, so will not get rooted up. Bot's trying to see if they can find the kill here. Now, Avi has the Atakan buff, and public execution gonna land. Still, the needlework comes down though, trying to find the kill onto Dakin before bots can actually get this kill. But Smelly Sausage and Wiggler are here in tow, and unfortunately, Avi goes for the clone, and Dakin manages to live, and that is a big buff to get off of If you wanted to get that buff off of any TUD member early, or like before something big happens, that's definitely the one you want to go for. But now Drake going to be coming down. One Drake a piece so far. It's already going to be smited away before Mongolian Yeti comes over the wall. Dakin is still low from the previous fight, and Wiggler's just going to be bursted out when becomes lightning. Paranoia goes down to try to cover off the rest of the QUB members while they get away, but Smelly Sausage got to get hit when the wind becomes lightning and chased down. Crescent Guard popped as well for Mongolian Yeti, and Sivir got to clean up bots, although Earthshaker will manage to get away. Dakin also managing to base in time, but killing that Drake, was it actually worth it?
I don't think so. They just used everything, first of all, to kill the Gwen. And with Dakin being so low, all their whole goal was to get the dragon and get themselves out. So this has been 2 times in a row where QUB have just overstayed on the play, and TUD have just absolutely abused them for it. So with only 2 members left, bot lane inhibitor goes down. Gwen in the mid lane might be able to pick up this tower as well, and TUD are just in full control.
Yeah, and Avi, Dakin trying to see if they can use that tower to their advantage, but Avi just not taking any damage. Mongolian Yeti, even with the ramped up damage from these turrets, not getting chunked out enough. Baron's now up in 30 seconds, and TUD are probably going to look to push for this tier 2, use all that gold that they gained from that last big fight, buy up their items, and then just end the game with the Baron. As we pull up that goal graph once again, you can see getting very close to that 10k.
It's like Mount Everest.
Yeah, 200 gold away from that 10k gold lead.
It's rough. We could say that. If I needed to climb a mountain, I would not be doing that. That's like a 50-degree turn or angle at that point. Now, TUD, they do have to get themselves an objective to be able to push out. You have a decent bit of wave clear with Dakin and Earthshaker to try and hold on for now. The problem is your big burst combo of Wiggler and Smelly Sausage. Do they actually have enough damage to burst anyone anymore?
Yeah, Teamfight gonna come in here now. Gwen going forward. Paranoia is dropped, but it's not gonna be taken. It's just gonna be to help their team walk away from the fight. Now, waves being pushed in towards mid. There's not a lot of vision here for QUB in towards this Baron pit, so the Baron will be started up, and Dakin's the first line of defense here to try go for the steel ward. Will be placed down now, so they have knowledge of how much it actually has left. Blast Cone is available for Smelly Sausage and none of the remaining QUB members, but he goes a bit early. 4k left on the Baron, and now it's just going to be a full-on team fight. 3k now down to 200. Crescent Guard, it will be popped. Smelly Sausage will not be able to get the smite, and now QUB just have to try to get away. Public Execution lands onto Mongolian Yeti, but it's not going to be enough. Earthshaker trying to do whatever they can, but Martin lives, and that will be the Baron and the game for TUD in game number 1.
Yeah, QUB went for a high-risk, high-reward play at the end there. Maybe there was a chance that they stole the Baron, but it was just too little too late. TUD clearly showing why they're first place, as they just absolutely dominated that first game.
Yeah, and they deserved it too. They did so well to get, you know, Gwen getting themselves ahead. Mongolian Yeti just making sure that their team is just completely covered. Like, bot lane was not touched by either jungler this game. They were just left on an island, and neither of them were really able to get an advantage in that lane to be able to help their team. But when you're on the side of TUD and you have that Sivir Lulu, it doesn't really matter. As long as you don't give anything over and the Sivir can just farm up and get those items, you're completely fine. So I think TUD played their win con very well and won the game convincingly.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And the big thing that they did super well is whenever QUB overextended for a play, stayed a little bit too long, they always found an answer for it. They said, okay, you stay too long, we're going to find these kills. And with 1 or 2 kills up towards the top lane to the Gwen, they ballooned that up to get a few kills on towards their jungle, and it just kept snowballing and snowballing. And that game ended in a very quick amount of time. Of course, it is a best of 3. Fearless, no Gwen available for that next game. The question is, can QUB bounce back? They have plenty of veterans on their team. We don't have to talk about it over and over again. But do they have enough in the tank still in their final year of uni?
Yeah, and we'll have to see. But we will be throwing to a quick 5-minute break while we get into our second lobby and get ready for you. But we'll have to see whether QUB can bring it back to, or bring us to a game 3 in just a few minutes. Don't go anywhere. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to game number 2 between QUB Bleh Cats and TUD Diddy Kong. Of course, TUD Diddy Kong taking game number 1 and looking pretty convincing while they were doing it. Avi having a great time in that top lane. Their mid jungle duo supporting each other the entire time, getting early objectives. Zath, what do you expect out of them in this game number 2?
Good quality gameplay. Celtic, that's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting the best thing since sliced bread on T1. Well, Faker on T1. But no, coming to the second game. QB, I like the idea, trying to go for this composition where you have a really strong mid 2 versus 2, and then you start looking for team fight there. Now, of course, Orianna Nocturne's out of the bat. Benefit is Vi still available. Vi Talia, Vi Ari, give a little bit more agency towards your beautiful mid laner Wiggler. I think that's a really good option. One-sided TUD, it worked once. Why not make it go again? Go for a very strong top laner when you have the opportunity and then play from there. Because most importantly, I do believe that Avi and his team, TUD, are going to be having counter picks and leaving that to R5. Be a really big win con for them, as Diddy Kong versus Bleh Cats have done the same thing as before, so we will have to see what they'll be banning out as shocker Celtic. We have the Yeti away. Really incredible game if you've never played it as well.
Yeah.
Song of Noonie.
Not surprised to see the Yeti go once again, and I do apologize. The names didn't switch on the overlay. I will fix that, but it is QUB on the blue side going in towards this game. Yeti, of course, banned once again against Mongolia.
Yeti won't ban his old one, right? Imagine Yeti's just banning away his own Nunu. But interestingly, J4 coming out. It's making me think the Bleh Cats are maybe wanted to first pick a hyper carry, ADC. Jinx can be very high in priority. Even the Varus as well can get bullied out by that J4 putting you in the Cataclysm. But instead, Diddy Kong just pick it on. I mean, sure. Really good late game. Gwen not available as well. Already seeing their powers.
And yeah, we're going to see the Olaf come in against it. They were begging for this Fiddlesticks. Smelly Sausage wanted to play this Fiddlesticks. They were talking about it in game chat the entire time during the break, just like, leave me Fiddle. And they were talking about a couple of other champs, but Fiddle was the main one on everyone's mind. This was one of the ones that when I was watching the back end draft, I was like, ooh, they locked in a Tristana. They early rotated it. It was on B3. And they picked it into an Ezreal, which we'll see come up in just a second. It was the Ezreal was R2, and the response from Martin was, "Oh yay, I get to play against an ADC bot laner." So I guess we're going to get to see who is Earthshaker playing in that bot side.
Yeah, a lot of technical things that we do not know about, but as the champions on our screen, we can talk about is Fiddlesticks in towards the Zac interaction. If I am correct, I believe you can fear Zac out of his jump. I'm not 100% sure. We'll have to check that in game, but I really like the Tristana in towards the Victor, especially early game. You're able to get the push, but then it starts switching at level 9. And when that W is available, because if Tristana tries to jump in, you put the gravity field below you, you just get CC'd and you walk out for free. As the Kai'Sa and finally the Poppy locked in to try and stop that Zac from engaging. And both of these team comps are very different in style, as you've got the Zac and Olaf, and of course the Maokai trying to hard engage in towards the enemy composition. And then you have a Victor and an Ezreal. Both don't really want to do that. So a little bit of unsynergy on the Bleh Cats side, Diddy Kong side. While of course on the Bleh Cats side, very much hard disengage composition. Have that Poppy to stop the Maokai from going in. Stop the Zac, most importantly, from jumping in. Then afterwards, if you can get them to force on top of you, and Fiddlesticks is positioned correctly, you can have really big ultimates here. So Smelly Sausage talked about this champion, saying how much he truly loves it. Now he's got to show it, especially when it is in these semi-finals.
Yeah, and we're gonna see that Poppy locked in to for QUB in the support role as well. Great into the Zac in towards the Ezreal, because after and with the Maokai as well, just being able to knock them out of their dashes. Olaf not so much, although the Poppy can as long as he isn't in Ragnarok, actually crash him into the wall, can help to stun him up for that little bit longer. But of course Olaf wants those close range fights where he can just throw the axe right on top of himself and like insta pick it back up. So it is a little bit harder for the Poppy to engage into the Olaf, and they probably want to be avoiding that at all costs. But yeah, I think it's an interesting comp from QUB here. I do think they picked up one of the things you were saying from the last game, a little bit of a safer top laner, picking that Ornn, being able to disengage or engage in these fights, having more options available to themselves. Safer. Yeah, just a little bit.
They are brick wall. You are not getting through them unless it's the early game. And that's one thing to definitely mention. Olaf into Ornn early is absolutely fantastic, especially when you get towards that level 6 mark. You could still win out on these 1v1s because of that Ragnarok. But if you are on, you get yourself the armor boots, you get yourself a little bit more armor on top of that, a Barmy Cinder to clear the wave, you're completely fine. So if you can get around 2,000 gold in your pocket, Ornn will start being completely safe towards the top lane. So I'm interested to see if Zac is going to be pathing up there, or more importantly, if he paths towards this mid lane, which I'm expecting most. Because bot lane, you're against the Poppy, that's not really engageable. You try and engage onto Tristana and she can buffer your jump in. It starts turning really awkward for how the Bleh Cats actually find a way on towards the side of the Diddy Kong. Oh, cool. Swept around. I keep getting confused because we've got Bleh Cats one side, Diddy Kong the other, but Celtic. I think my favorite comp has to be the Bleh Cats side, the Poppy side, the Poppy comp. We'll call it the Poppy comp here. I think the Poppy comp has a lot of ways to disengage, of course, against the Diddy Kong side, but they also have ways of engaging with that on and with the Fiddlesticks on top of it.
Yeah, I especially because Smelly Sausage wanted this fiddle so bad. Like, I'm curious to see, like, are we going to see, like, some sort of interesting clear on the fiddle? Are we going to see them invade or do something weird? Like, they wanted this, so you could only hope that they have prep for again to the Zac. I guess I can quickly find Smelly Sausage's OP.GG here because I have it loaded up over on the side, and I can double check to see which one is it. This one, which one he
Celtic,
has. Yeah, go ahead.
Fiddlesticks. One of my favorite champions personally. I've been a super big fan of it. Probably top 2, top 3 junglers that I have in my head. It's one of the coolest interactions, which we sadly don't get to see it today, is whenever you go against a champion that has a ton of movement speed, like a Yi or a Lilia, and you fear them, they don't stop going as fast as they are. They run at Mach 20 away from you. So sometimes you can actually fear them under a tower and you see them actually going for maybe the Disco Nunu type tech. But sadly, won't see it today. Fiddlesticks, a champion which I think is absolutely incredible in towards the enemy team. It has so many answers into what they want to do, especially when it's the Maokai trying to jump into him. The only big concern, of course, is this early game. Fiddlesticks needs 3 major clears before he can actually get online. That's because you won't have level 6 available till that point, and it gives a big opportunity, especially for someone like Avi, who will get priority against the On in the top lane. I would love if they can start looking for maybe major invading towards the enemy jungle and bully out this Fiddlesticks, because if they don't, QB is hard getting outscaled here.
And we will see the electrocute coming in for that Fiddle. So standard runes kind of across the board, nothing too out of the ordinary. Although Mongolia Yeti is aftershock on the Zac, which I do believe is kind of normal because you do want the extra resistances as you're coming in. You get the aftershock to deal that little bit of damage as well. So makes complete sense. But yeah, we're gonna have to see what early game seems to be kind of standard across the board. Don't want to risk anything as well. You know, you don't want to give over any kills early on, so we will just see the Poppy Kaisa go towards this bot side. They aren't looking to get the push. What we're seeing from a lot of like pros and stuff, for example, at the moment, is they start to push up towards that third bush in the lane, and the moment the minions start up, they just start hitting them as hard as they can before the enemy team have a chance to actually do anything about it. And then they just get this really hard push in lane, even though you're usually in a matchup that loses the push. And Earthshaker or bot's going to be chunked out once again by Avi, having a rough time in this level 1, and has taken the pillar as well, so not going to be able to trade back too much.
Yeah, Avi fortunately did push the wave beforehand, so Bot will get himself as much gold in towards his pocket as he truly needs. A very comfortable situation for now, especially when teleport is available. But that first 2,000 gold is the real major point about, is he going to be okay? As Fiddlesticks is still pretty okay in this early game. He's been able to go for his first 3 camps without any major shenanigans going on, which I'm a big fan of, as I still think QUB could have maybe done an invade in this early.
Yeah, QUB want to just let this Fiddle scale, get to the level 6, and then play in towards this mid lane with that Tristana, try to get that Tristana ahead as well. And towards this bot side, Earthshaker and Dakin getting that level 2 first, giving them that little bit more of an extra push. But now that BlazeBoy and Martin have kind of, you know, sat out the early onslaught from them, they could potentially try to look to change it up here. Martin missing the Q there. Unfortunate from the Ezreal. You obviously want to get as much of that poke damage as you can down when you are actually targeting on towards Earthshaker, but Earthshaker knows better than to get chunked in this early lane phase.
This is a pretty relaxed lane phase, mostly because of how these supports interact with each other, as Poppy shouldn't ever be able to find a major engage into a wall, as you see there. They get a bit of chunk, but nothing more, as BlazeBoy can always W under that E if needed, and Ezreal with that dash and not real damage early. I'm expecting maybe level 6 to be this match of Power Spike, or maybe when Zac comes down after his first clear. So towards the top side, On surviving pretty solidly, hasn't had to use that teleport early on, as yet again getting chunked out, but no mana left onto Avi. Means the bot is going to be completely okay in this top side.
Yeah, the grasp as well, just doing wonders for sustain here. BlazeBoy, Dakin going in a bit aggressively, ignited down and tick. It is ticking, but it's going to fall off. Martin can't land an extra Q to be able to get that kill, so it will just be a forced back from Dakin to start off this lane now, and probably will start to move out towards mid now off of this base. Mongolia,
it was just unlucky, honestly, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah, go ahead, sorry.
No, it was just a big deal there because of Poppy down towards the bot side. They were actually looking to get the pin onto the wall, not actually going to affect and make that play happen. It mean that QB, even though their laning phase wasn't looking good because of the Kai'Sa versus Ezreal matchup, they get to find themselves a pretty solid reset on the Kai'Sa if they want to, or sorry, onto the Ezreal Maokai if they want to, just because of that outplay from Dakin.
Mongolian Yeti spotted on a ward towards his top side as well. So they did know that he was there and based on top of the ward. So know that he's level 4 right now. Now Smelly Sausage going for that second clear on the fiddle. He really is stretching these timers as best he can. He's, you know, taking these wolves as they come off cooldown. And Drake up in 3 seconds.
Yeah, when you're very comfortable with a champion, you know how to clear them absolutely perfectly. And Fiddlesticks, once he gets him that first 900 gold item, they can get themselves in a position to just fully clear as fast as possible and actually have a 5 CS lead. It is, of course, going to get changed when Mongolian Yeti finishes his full clear, but they're in a big opportunity here where if he does, they can start up this bot lane objective and get themselves the first dragon. But of course, Fiddlesticks, not known for his objective taken, will need, of course, support from the Tristana, the Poppy, and of course that Kai'Sa.
Luckily, the pushing towards that mid tower has been pretty strong coming out from Wiggler. Jumping onto Zig once again, has that bomb. Can he stack it up? He can, and that's another big bit of damage onto Zig. He's not going to be able to really contest if they do decide to move down, but Mongolian Yeti gonna jump in, won't be able to land the tether on towards Wiggler, so they all will walk away from it. Priority in that bot lane though, going towards the side of QUB, meaning that Mongolian Yeti shall be moving down for this Drake, and Smelly Sausage will be moving up for the first set of grubs.
Yeah, no contention coming out from both of the teams. They are very happy with how this has played out. Fiddlesticks, one of the fastest clearers of these void grubs, especially with that W hitting on every single one of them. So QUB, matching this up, gonna actually get their first tower pretty early on. As stacking towards his top side, is thinking about diving top lane. Only problem is Avi has that level 6 Ragnarok, no CC will be able to come through. So TUD very smartly decided to leave their own alone, go for that reset, and head towards that bot side as the timer's already come. Bot has got himself healing reduction, and Avi can't actually kill him.
Yep, that's
6 minutes.
That is. He's having a better outing than he did in game number 1. That is for sure. He has survived the first 7 minutes so far unscathed, and this is Oran's just a bread and butter champ for these top laners.
He's in a bad matchup, right? That's the big thing we have to talk about. The Gwen, and of course the champion before that is mid lane. Zig going to be able to do really well with that Gravity Storm to get himself out towards safety. But yeah, bots just understanding how he's able to play in towards Avi, as I don't want to jinx him here.
Yeah, Avi
he has flash. He should be fine.
Yeah, he has the Ragnarok available, but he's probably just going to look for a chunk here. Doesn't want to waste his ultimate or when an Ornn, like you said, he wants to try to get the flash out of the Ornn, but also doesn't want to risk, you know, the fiddle being nearby. They don't currently have vision of where the fiddle is. He could be towards the bot side, he could be towards the top side. So Avi not overextending, playing it safe. We'll just continue to chunk out bots. Now bots of course has grasp, so we'll be able to heal up in this lane.
Yeah, and one important thing is what you see on top of your screen is the fight bot lane.
Yeah, Dakin gonna hit the charge into the wall. Martin chunked down to half HP. Mongolian Yeti is here to cover this up though. And won't land the tether onto Earthshaker. So Earthshaker trying to get out. Ultimate pop from Mongolian Yeti. Earthshaker has the barrier and the flash available. Will flash a bit later than he maybe should have. But the charge into the wall from the Poppy on top of the Ignite. And it's a 1-for-1 in the end.
Yeah, Fiddlesticks up towards the top side, going to get himself a few more towers for, and even looking towards the mid lane with the ultimate, but not finding anything just yet. So the side of TUD are winning out. And to get to the point I was talking about before, is what you see on top of your screen. TUD is actually the red side and QUB is the blue side. So whenever you see Smelly Sausage or Wiggler, that's QUB. While whenever you see Mongolian Yeti or Zig, that is going to be the side of TUD. And hey, we fixed it perfectly to be seen. It's down towards the bot lane. Poppy surviving on 2 HP, it looked like.
Yeah, Martin now going to be chunked out by Earthshaker, trying to get away. Has the fort stacked, but couldn't get the damage out of it. BlazeBoy arriving just in time to get their ADC out alive.
And this is a big stakes game for the side of QUB. Remember, this is the semi-finals. Whoever wins here gets themselves towards those grand finals. There's no lower bracket. QUB lose this game, they are out of the full tournament, as TUD won that last big team fight. And this could be one of the last times we see a lot of the members of this QUB side. A lot of them are in their final year, will have one more opportunity to win themselves that finals. And when you're over on the side of Belfast, it is important that you represent for yourselves like everybody else does in the Irish Collegiate Series.
Now, a lull in the action for the time being. Only a 300 gold lead on the side of QUB for the time being. Triple longsword coming in for the Ezreal as well. Just while they're continuing to stack up that tier, continue to get stronger and stronger. But Earthshaker is, again, just doing their best to dodge these Qs as much as possible, delaying that tier stacking from the Ezreal, just making it, every time Ezreal misses that Q, not only does the Q go on a longer cooldown, but you're also denying those 6 stacks on towards that tier for the Ezreal, and just denying that mana immune for that little bit longer.
Yeah, as the first 3 Void Grubs were taken by QUB a couple minutes before, but now the second ones are up. Fiddlesticks very strong at trying to take this objective, not looking like TD want to give this up without a fight, especially when he does have his first half an item, and of course that Ragnarok up and available, but can they actually get in before Fiddlesticks just takes these away?
Yeah, they need to try to contest these here, as first set went over towards the Fiddle. Second set will be taken away now as well. One is already gone down. He will just, I think he's happy to just take the buff. Now is the engage going to come in. Wiggler going to be saved by the steadfast presence, but it's not going to be enough. He will actually fall in the end. Ragnarok now popped, and bots trying to get away. Zig is also here, but the pillar going to deter them from continuing running in here. Call of the Forge God going to come down. Dakin trying to find an angle to hit Abby into the wall. Big damage, and the Crow Storm are going to come down on top of 3. Mongolian Yeti still has the revive available and will be able to actually take out Smelly Sausage in the end. Dakin now just trying to run for the hills, as the turn back was not the fight they were looking for.
And the 4v4, they're not going to be winning out on the side of QUB. All they had to do was get themselves the objective and get themselves out to safety. It's the exact same thing we saw in that first game. When you have an Ornn versus an Olaf, when you have a Zac versus a Fiddlesticks, you never can take these early game fights. Yes, you scale well, but importantly, you don't have a very strong early game. So because of that, TD winning out in that 4 versus 4, getting themselves an 800 gold lead. And this is the first time this game we've seen both of these teams have a difference in the gold lead.
Yeah, they've all been within 400 gold, 500 gold so far in this game, and TUD now starting to take control of it. First team to go up 1k so far. Also, notice the lack of the Dark Seals in this game in comparison to the last one. We're not seeing them in mid. We're not seeing them in towards even jungle on these AP jungles. They need that gold. They know they just need to get their fully completed items. They don't want to go for the risk of that Dark Seal on the Victor or on the Fiddlesticks, as Drake's now going to be taken away by the side of TUD. No prio in mid or bot means that will just be taken away before they can even get close to it.
Yeah, it looks like that is going to be the first dragon taken off the game. 12 minutes in. Very long time for that to be going over, as Martin just going to get chunked out a little bit here. But TD doing a very good job of understanding their power points and using them to get these major objectives.
Bots now being ran down by Avi. Ragnarok has been popped, trying to chase him underneath the tower. He knows that Bots doesn't have TP, have the flash, but Avi takes a couple steps too far forward, doesn't get the kill onto the ore, and as you said, with that Bramble Vest, not getting the healing back that he thought he was going to, and will just give a kill over to this Ornn.
I think that's just a hard top diff on the best champion to ever exist. You run him down on the tower, you're not coming out alive. Nice play from the QUB top laner Bots, getting himself a kill up there. And this is actually a really crucial kill, because this should allow him to complete his first item, or at least get those armor boosts in towards his pocket, which means that, yes, Abby was very close to killing him in the 1v1, but now it's going to be even more difficult to try and do so, as yep, we see that Sunfire Cape finished, and Abby will have that priority, sure, but he's not going to be able to find a kill, and that's what you need in your Olaf to leverage his early game, and you just can't do that.
Meanwhile, as we just look at the gold across the lanes at the moment, of course, even in towards that top side, jungle's up 300, mid is up 600 for the side of TUD, and then it's in that bot lane that we see the gold swing coming in for the side of QUB, 300 up on that Kai'Sa, who has been doing a great job to just keep this Ezreal out of these fights as much as possible. And now with that static shift finished, the charge from the Ornn just barely not landing. No Ragnarok available to dodge these stuns. Dakin doing a great job to come up here when they know that that Ragnarok is down, and that's going to be a second death going over for Avi.
Yeah, tried to look for the overextension there, and now this Olaf had it go from bad to worse. So Mongolian Yeti getting a bit of chip damage here.
Yeah, 3 turret shots going towards the Ornn, though, and that will be a shutdown going over to Mongolian Yeti.
Yeah, super smart play. I did actually think he would have kept him under that tower, but a smart play of that ultimate to push him back in, and with the E, you just can't move as that on, and he will get taken out as Earthshaker.
Yeah.
Good for play here.
Looking for the charge onto Martin, but the Arcane shift away to safety, and BlazeBoy gonna be walking by as well, means that Martin's pretty safe for the time being. These supports even in XP, even though they have, you know, we've seen Dakin roam up towards that top side, helping to get that kill. Now has to try continue to get this Kai'Sa ahead. The gold lead in that bot lane, continuing to just stay even, as we saw even in that first game. But Martin getting some nice Qs landing on towards Dakin, chunking him out. But we'll be able to get the base off now and reset.
And both of these teams have been quite quiet in this recent time, especially Zig towards the mid lane. Has a 2-0 lead over Wiggler. Got to the point where he's able to use the Magnet Storm whenever Wiggler went in. Allows him to just really happily scale in that lane. And with that double kill, getting pretty close to his 2-item breakpoint, as both of these teams are starting to get more and more towards this late game. And what I mentioned before is with the Fiddlesticks double ADC composition for QUB, if they're able to keep it at this amount of gold, especially when Kai'Sa's almost at the 2 items herself, you're in a very solid position to just outscale your opponents when you haven't even had to worry about contesting for these dragons, as only one has been taken in 16 minutes.
Yeah, Fiddle going to be spotted on a ward there. Ping's going to be rained down on top of him, and he will be just forced to go take it the rest of his camps. Of course, Fiddle is a great farming jungle, has a fast clear. Does help when they go towards these items, but with that spot down towards that bot side, it does mean that they will be able to start up this Herald.
Yeah, Wiggler trying to get collapsed on towards the mid lane, getting the tower in and getting out, as they may be able to get themselves to Rift Tower, but towards the bot lane, they're going to get a full entire tower, skipping the middleman of it. And with this bot lane tower, should be able to get themselves pretty close to finishing those feats, but sadly, already been taken by TUD.
Yeah, feats are going to be taken now with that Herald being taken away. And Wiggler just trying to continue to find these chunks. Dakin trying to go the long way around on the tower to catch out Zig, but Zig gonna be able to spot it out on the ward, walk up towards that top side, and will leave mid unscathed. Drake up in 10 seconds now.
Yeah, Avi can move down for this if he wants to. Reset a little late to be there straight away for this objective, as QB really don't want to give this up. Second dragon for TUD if they can, but it will be first on the side of QB. Fiddlesticks, major ultimate available. First item in his pocket, but he has a lot of gold that is unspent. So QB going to be a little bit weaker, at least on his champion, than what you would expect.
Big thing here is Bots has pushed in towards this top side. He has base and TP available. So he, with the Herald now dropped towards bot, it's going to crash into that bot tier 1. But Bots can TP towards this Drake and help in with this fight, or he can walk and TP towards top afterwards.
I think TUD should just try and give this up if you know you don't have your Olaf. Once that TP comes through, move towards bot lane and pivot out.
Yeah, and great ult from the Poppy knocks away the jungle of Mongolian Yeti, means that they get that Drake for free.
And it's just the power of their composition, isn't it? Understanding that if they're ever at these objectives first, there's just no way for TUD to engage. You got the fear to stop maybe the Maokai from coming in. You had the W from the Poppy as well to stop this from engaging. And we can start seeing the pressures of, if you can't find this big game lead, how are you actually meant to win these late game team fights? Sure, you have an Ezreal and Victor, but you're going against a double ADC composition, and especially a Fiddlesticks compared to a Zac in the late game.
Now, I will just take a moment to let's check in with the Victor for a second here and see if we can see where they are in terms of their glorious evolution. We can see that he's almost at 100 stacks here and has the... He has 2 upgrades, I believe, so far. He has 2 upgrades. He just finished a second. So he's still a little bit behind tempo, but that's kind of how it goes when you don't get any early kills on the Victor. You just have to...
I mean, he has 2. I feel like he's pretty solid, even if he wasn't able to get those stacks to be in a happy position. And also, we do hear you guys in Twitch chat about not having a little dot next to TUD. There is some stuff behind the scenes which we are trying to work on to get fixed. However, for now, just keep it in your noggins. TUD are still 1 game up, 1 game away from winning this best of 3 series, as this game is not looking too bright for them. Top lane Avi finally getting pushed in himself, as the top laner has the first full item, like we talked about, but more importantly, those armor boots as well. And I just wouldn't want to be Avi in this game. He had a great Gwen game last time, wanted to go for something a little bit more aggressive, doesn't know what to do when you're against a big beefy Ornn.
Yeah, he had a lot better of a time on the Gwen into the Ambessa matchup, but this Ornn proving a little bit more difficult for him here. Has died a lot more than he did in that game number 1, and now again just a lull while we wait for the next kind of objectives. These teams really have been staying towards, trying to push down these towers, playing it safe. They haven't been looking for these tower dives. Of course, tower dives even harder this season than ever before. And now Atakan gonna be spawned up towards this top side. We see 2 additional members of TUD up here as well. Bots has the flash available, will be slowed, and a little bit of burn going down onto him, but
They just don't have damage. Ornn's just way too tanky for this. Seeing if they could maybe get a pick off, start the Atakan afterwards. But they have no vision, no way of getting towards the enemy jungler either. And this is the exact same issue that you find down towards the bot lane Zig. We're going to be able to bully out Dakin, but if you overextend slightly too far by trying to jump on and you don't land it, you're going to have that Fiddlesticks on top of you. A Smelly Sausage very comfortable with his position, having himself not a gold lead, but in this position of the game, once he gets towards, of course, that second item, he'll start being super strong in these fights.
yeah, quick dive onto Zig. Keeper's Verdict to knock him up, and they will chase him, and that will be a shutdown going over towards this Poppy, and also potentially a tower for the Tristana.
Yeah, not going to be able to pick up the tower because of the Maokai roaming down and a good reset from Avi. You're not sure if he's going top or he's going towards the bot side, but TUD slowly bleeding out on these side lanes. Tristana might not be able to engage by yourself, but if you have the Poppy do it for you, you're able to use your jump in, not worry about that gravity field, and get yourself that kill. As both of these teams still waiting for another major objective to spawn. The second one will be in 1 minute. Second dragon for either of the teams who picks it up. But I'm more curious about this Atakan. Do either of these teams want to try and pivot for it? Maybe look for a way to find that to be your major win con? It does seem, at least for QUB, the answer's no, as all their vision has been focused around this bot side.
Yes, and now the chase onto BlazBoy. He's been caught out here. Dakin with the charge into the wall takes him down. That's another kill going over towards Wiggler and the Poppy, and just continuing to extend their gold lead, or start to bring back this gold lead even.
And you just have no vision, do you? You try walking towards the enemy jungle, find a way back into this game, and you should be tanky as BlazBoy with that Trailblazer. Nice little combination there. You just aren't. You just don't have enough in the tank just yet. TUD need to find a way to win a team fight at the start. Otherwise, this game will just be getting worse, especially with Dragon spawn in 10 seconds. BlazBoy just getting himself back onto the map. They have to find a way in towards the enemy jungle without any vision and not get hit by that Fiddlesticks ultimate.
Avi now actually dealing a lot of damage on towards bots, but like you said, that Bramble Vest now in Thornmail just helping to keep that fight even for bots. Charge into a wall goes the Ezreal, but Dakin may have been more often he can shoot, uses the steadfast presence to stop the dash from Mongolian Yeti, and will be able to walk out alive.
Yeah, but he's chunked to half HP. Force him to fail the reset. So TUD should start up this objective, pull it out as far as possible. Some good little vision from them should keep them safe from this Fiddlesticks. However, do they want to start this up? The answer does seem to be yes, as they should be able to grab this up with no consequences except for Avi in this top lane.
Yeah, Call of Forge got to come down. Ragnarok also popped, but the Tristana here able to deal so much damage. Tower shot hits Avi, and it will be a Drake for Atakan trade, but they got the Drake so fast that they could potentially contest both.
Yeah, there's an answer for this. If they can run up fast enough, they should be able to stop this. Fiddlesticks nowhere nearby, no teleport available, but with a double ADC composition, they get through this Atakan pretty quickly.
Yeah, they need to make it up here in time. Mongolian Yeti does, but will be knocked away by Wiggler, using that ultimate to stun him out for as long as I can. Atakan will go over to QUB now as the fight breaks out, and QUB continue to just dominate in these fights. It's not over yet, though, trying to continue on, but QUB don't want anything. They just want that Atakan to get away.
Yeah, and Heltic, didn't you see the huge play from Dak in there, ulting away both carries on the side of TUD, as now they'll be looking for a fight here.
Yes, Smelly Sausage in a bit of an awkward spot, but has the Crowd Storm available, but will just be popped by Blazeboy before they even have a chance to deal any damage here.
I saw the vision there. He was going to come over the wall, he was going to kill everybody with the amount of damage. But of course, not having that second item completed off the death cap, no level 16, doesn't have the damage just yet to be able to win out on that team fight. But yeah, TUD, decent plays, getting themselves the objective, fighting for that Atakan, getting themselves in range for that smite fight. And if it went slightly differently, TUD would be in such a great position in this game. But for now, still going to be happy with picking up that second dragon, but that is going to be it for the side of TUD.
Next Drake in 3 minutes time. Atakan buff gonna be ruinous, so it's a 25% buff on all epic monster increases. So stacking those Drakes for the side of QUB, of course, now the next goal. You want to be getting that those extra stat buffs wherever you can, and with it being a Cloud Soul, it is out of combat move speed, which helps, especially when you have, you know, Dakin and Fiddle just be able to roam around this map, be really, really annoying, especially when you're looking to clear vision, because, you know, Sweeper reduced to 5 seconds ages ago, but Zig getting chunked out. Wiggler will get him before the stun actually goes off, and now Earthshaker as well, finding a flank on towards Martin in this mid, uses the dash to secure the kill. And QUB look like they've came alive in this game number 2.
Yeah, they've just been really good at using their composition on how you're meant to. Having a way to try and find flanks on the side lane with the Poppy and stop any engages from TUD. And even if they do engage, have that Fiddlesticks to stop it. So with a nice pick in mid and a nice pick up towards the top lane, QUB should be able to pick up this Baron, unless there's a way for Zach to get in towards this backline, as Dakin is trying to hold him off, but he has no idea he's on this side lane here.
Yeah, and we'll be able to take up this Baron. Dakin gonna find Mongolian Yeti as well and just keep him away from the rest of his team. And that's gonna be a Baron for bot tier 2 for the side of QUB.
Yeah, Avi, getting some items into his pocket, actually opting to get more of a magic resist on bots, thinking he has finally enough to deal with Avi on the side lanes. And the scaling is really showing up, even with the Baron as well as Smelly Sausage. Once he is able to find that reset, should be able to get that second item. 3 items completed for Wiggler and Earthshaker. And most importantly, they already got themselves those upgraded Ornn items.
Yeah, starting to come in online. Only one more missing, and that is in towards Smelly Sausage. But they find another pick onto Blazeboy. Big pop coming in from the Strana. Managed just to stay alive for a little bit longer than expected, but that Keeper's Verdict doing so much work. Steadfast Presence once again stopping Mongolian Yeti, but they catch out the Tristana, and now the chase onto the remaining members of the team. Mongolian Yeti gonna be able to knock up Smelly Sausage, and he's down. 2 more members in the line of sight. Mongolian Yeti is gonna go for it, but can't manage to catch them in time.
Yeah, a little overexcited there. Should have stayed towards the mid lane to pick up that tower. But TUD doing a really good job of collapsing onto QUB. They knew that they overextended. They knew they could find a way back into the game. That's exactly it.
Yeah. And now the dash in from the Kai'Sa, going to be able to find one, finds a second, and the ultimate from the Victor not going to be able to get a refrag onto Dakin. Drake now up in 30 seconds, 40-second death timers on 2 members of TUD. And if you're QUB, this is exactly what you wanted.
Yeah, getting themselves towards that third and final game, best of 3 series. We might be able to go as close as you can get in a best of 3 to Silver Scrapes. The question is there a chance for TUD to get back into this? I think the answer is yes after these major team fights, but they will just have to be giving up this objective.
They're still trying to contest it as best they can, but in a 5 versus 3, they're so limited in what they can do here unless they find a pick before this fight, because if they try to go towards this Drake, they're going to lose that mid tier 2. They may even lose a mid tier 3, so they have to just kind of watch and play this very carefully. And now Arcane Ezreal is going to come in, but Drake is already taken away. Now going to catch that wave in towards that mid. Just continue.
I think TUD were just holding off. They're waiting to see if Victor wanted to TP in, if they could hold on towards that dragon. But because it got taken away so fast, QUB now are in full control of this map, trying to push out this mid wave, getting this bot lane set up by Wiggler as they look to engage.
Twisted Advance goes down on top of Mongolian Yeti as well, landing on top. But Smelly Sausage has already been caught out in that gravity well. And now lots of damage being thrown in from the side from Martin unchecked. Dakin's just in no man's land in towards this backside, and Earthshaker trying to do his best, but has Avi just running him down. But the Wiggler and Earthshaker have so much damage, double ADC, just being able to pop 3 of the members of TUD, and now can continue to push for this mid tier 2.
Yeah, and they were just looking to play these compositions. They knew that there was no teleport onto Wiggler. If they force now, they could have themselves a 4 versus 5. The only problem is they took so long to try and kill anybody. QUB allowed Wiggler to join that fight, gets them to win that fight afterwards, and now they lose that mid tier 2, lose their bot tier 2 as well. And QUB, every single time TUD engages on them, always has an answer.
Yeah. And it's been down to, you know, Avi trying to get onto Earthshaker, but Earthshaker's spacing was really good to be able to kill Avi, and especially because when Avi runs at Earthshaker, he also has to deal with the Tristana of Wiggler dropping that bomb on top of him, stacking up those auto attacks. So you have the Kaisa passive on top of the bomb triple stack from the Tristana, and just that health bar disintegrates so fast.
And it makes it even worse that both of these AD carries have got to these 4 item power spikes. And you can see why the amount of gold lead that has gone over to QUB just keeps building and building more. Zonya's been picked up for the Kaiser as well. If you want to try and engage, good luck, buddy. I'm going to have another 5 seconds of safety. Let my team get themselves positioned around me. And with Baron coming up in the next 1 minute 20, QUB will be looking to gain vision around this top side. Look to see if they can find a pick off on the side of TUD as they keep looking to way back into this game.
More items across the board for all of the members of QUB as well. So
even the Poppy gets hers.
Yeah, even the support got hers. So it's going to continue to just deal more and more as this game goes on. And now, Baron up in 1 minute's time. There's little to no vision for TUD in towards their topside jungle. And with that bot wave shoved in so far, the Victor can't even walk out because they don't really know where QUB are.
And you don't have to push out this wave anymore. It's going to be slow pushing towards the side of QUB. So Victor should actually try and match the team. And there's a 5-man unit. Look in towards the enemy jungle. See if there's a way that you could spot out where the Fiddlesticks is with your Zac and your Maokai. They will be tanky enough to survive early on. The question is, will they be able to win a team fight afterwards? Really difficult. They need to have all the damage from the Ezreal and Victor, especially when they're all both a full item down on their lane counter.
This ward in the backline is just doing so much work for QUB. It's giving them complete vision of the side of TUD, and it's just unchecked at the moment in this bush. But now with them starting to gain more control of their jungle, we'll start to push towards this Baron. Dakin just playing human wards, trying to just spot out whatever they can. Doesn't have any wards available at this point, so if they maybe might look for a reset if they do want to start to look towards this Baron. Continuing just pushing these waves in and just keeping TUD under pressure. But Baron's already down to 50% HP. Dakin's going to find a pick on towards the Maokai before they even have a chance. Keeper's Verdict only going to knock Mongolian Yeti up.
Yes, they're going to try and get themselves out to safety. Martin has that dash as well, as QUB really well played, understood that their double ADC composition is so amazing at bursting out these objectives. So if you ever see Zac slightly too far away, just start it up, burst it out, before anyone is nearby. QB with that get themselves to Baron and now can try and look to get themselves as mid lane inhibitor and pretty soon end the game.
Yeah, just, you know what else these double ADCs are great for? Also just making champions' health bars disappear. As we saw towards that Ezreal in towards that mid lane, top tier 3 gonna now be on the shocking block and the inhibitor as well. That's 2 inhibs taken away, and that steadfast presence gonna completely deny the engage from Mongolian Yeti. The Ornn now caught though by the twisted advance in no man's land, so that will be at least 1 Baron buff taken away. The Kai'Sa continuing to hit some poke damage from far away, but not going to be able to help the Ornn out of that one.
Yeah, with Dragon being available for both of these teams, opting to go for the reset of QUB, but losing one of those major, there is a chance for TUD to answer. The only problem is the objective's already down. Double AD carries, taking care of that in pretty simple time. With the Ornn down, 40 seconds is going to be a little bit of reprieve for TUD to farm up, to scale. As Celtic, there is this beautiful thing about late game in League. You may be super far behind. They may have 1,000 million gold lead. Doesn't matter. At some point, you guys will have the same amount of items. Yes, your champions may not be as good as theirs with main items, but at least you have that.
Yeah, these item spikes have already come through from the mid and ADC on the side of QUB. But the gold starting to, you know, Ezreal's now up to 3 items. Victor's on 3 items. That we see this Olaf's on 3 items as well. Still not as strong as his top lane counterpart in bots, you know, being up towards those 4 items now with the Unending Despair finished. But
yeah,
still now towards his bot side.
Yeah, they have big opportunities. Fiddlesticks, all of the vision is set up for them. Last inhibitor to go down. This should be the place that QUB do their final stand. If they give up this inhibitor, the minions will just end the game.
Yeah, they have to try to hold their ground here for the time being, but it's so hard for them to do so with the supers pouring into the base in mid and top. And now Keeper's Verdict charged up will be cancelled by Dakin. And now the engage coming in from bots. Earthshaker taken down very low, but has that Zhonya's that you mentioned earlier. Crowstorm on top of 3 as well. Deals a lot of damage, but will eventually fall. Ornn just tanking up so much here. And Earthshaker and bots putting in work on top with Wiggler as well over top to just take down the remaining members of TUD and look towards a game 3.
Yeah, really great play from Wiggler there, being completely untouched in that back line, and double ADC compositions get themselves the victories. We get to go towards that 3rd game. A little bit more fun coming out from Earthshaker as well, and QUB aren't done just yet.
No, it's not over for them just yet. They still have another game in them. They're taking us to silver scrapes, I guess, for a best of 3. They want to get into that finals.
I feel like you would call it bronze scrapes at that point, because if silver scrapes can't even be gold scrapes, then we have to go 1 down below, or maybe even iron scrapes, so we can really keep with the League of Legends theme. But Celtic, so far, really incredible games coming out from both of these teams. The composition we saw at the start, which was drafted better, usually came out on top. First for TUD, going for that disengaged composition, or sorry, hard engaged composition. And on the second one, the Poppy, the Fiddlestick, so many ways to stop what TUD wanted to do. And that's exactly what we want to see in this next game, is maybe a more even draft, so we can have no idea who's going to win in this 3rd one.
Yeah, I think at this point, you're going to be looking at comfort. You know, you don't have the Ornn, you don't have the Tristana, you don't have the Kai'Sa. Fiddle is also gone, and he wanted the Fiddle, and he made it work. He wasn't the strongest showing of Fiddle, but he did his best to keep everyone alive and use the Crowstorms to get as much damage as he could off, as much as he was shut down in this game. So we're going to have to see what they go for in this final game number 3. But of course, we're going to have to take a quick 5-minute break before we get to that game number 3. So do not go anywhere. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our final game of the evening, the final game of this semi-final between TUD Diddy Kong and QUB Bleh Cats. TUD have opted to go back to blue side, where they won in game number 1, and we're going to be getting into draft very shortly. But Zath, what are you expecting in this game number 3?
It's really hard to call because whenever you are on such a do or die situation, one game away from either reaching the finals or going home here today, you have to go for comfort. That's the thing that I always say to the players that under me as their coaches. I'd much rather you be on the champion you know how to play than the champion that fits the comp more holistically. However, we are of course on towards this third game in this fearless draft, which means there are already 10 different champions already banned away. Sorry, 20 different champions banned away, plus the 3 different bans you get at the start of the game coming up all the way towards 26. So you have to go a little bit deeper in towards your champ pools. Maybe we can see Mongolian Yeti's finally his main champion coming out, but most likely banned away. Even an A-Soul in the mid lane for Wiggler, Blazeboy on one of his more famous picks himself. It's hard to say, but comfortability, so the scales up towards a late game, and I'll be pretty happy with any of these comps.
Yeah, and it seemed like the kind of scaling, get like super like hyper carry comp style worked for QUB in their previous game. So we'll be curious to see what they decide to go in this game number 3. Do we see another double ADC game? I don't know what you'll really play. I don't know what Wiggler will really play in towards that mid lane when it comes, if they do want to go for this double AD style. It seems like Smelly Sausage is more comfortable on these AP jungles, which usually means that we're going to get either an AD, we're going to get AD top, AD mid, but we'll just have to see. Everyone is readying in the chat, so it won't be too much longer. This draft should be ridiculous.
Yeah, plenty of things to be talking about. The double ADC composition, the highest champion to pick for those is Tristana in the mid lane, because you can flex it towards mid, have it towards AD carry. Now probably the highest priority for double ADC composition is going to be that KOKA because of that flexibility. So there's no real other AD carries unless you want to go for a Smoda, for an Ezreal, but that gives up so much early game priority. I don't think that both of these teams want to do that, as we saw the problem with doing that in both first game and the second game, as Tristana wasn't able to do anything in towards the Victor. But in the second ban phase, I'm expecting both of these teams to be banning out the exact same thing that we saw in the first game. Mongolian Yeti get his champion out, get the Lux out, of course, for Wiggler in the mid lane, and maybe even the Pantheon as well.
Yeah, Pantheon going to be banned away for the side of TUD. Don't want to give that one over, because if you're not first picking it, it is very strong in this patch. It can be late jungle, it can be late support, and they do not want to give that one over, so it will just be taken away. And we're going to see Nunu once again banned out against Mongolian Yeti. They do not want to give him his main champ at all.
Yeah, don't want to be giving that up. Interestingly, that Diana ban, not wanting maybe a Yasuo or Diana to be coming through, something that QUB Bleh Cats hasn't played a lot, but they have played it beforehand, as everybody's already done their draftings. We're going to see what champions locked in. And I see a Gale, and I asked for late game. Abby's going to be able to answer. Had an incredible Gwen game in that first game. Didn't have the greatest second game, but let's see if he can have a pretty strong third one. Sejuani towards the jungle as well. Great combination if they can have a really strong AD mid laner. But on the opposite side, Wukong, fantastic in towards the cow early. Does get scale, but it takes about 3 items to get there. So should be enough time for the team to try and win out before that. And me in the jungle for Smelly Sausage, Syndra towards the mid lane. And as I'm looking at both of these compositions holistically, I think I like Bleh Cats a little bit more so far.
Yeah, the Corki coming in, exactly like you said, as if it's not Tristana in mid, it's going to be that Corki if they want to go for this double AP or double AD type of style that worked for them so well in that game number 2. But we're going to see what it pairs up with in this bot side. What are they going to put in that bot lane? And just to update you guys, so that Kayle was picked in response to the Wukong. The Wukong was picked up before the Kayle. So what do we think about the Kayle counterpick into the Wukong?
It's difficult to say, because in these major team fights, if they do try and come in towards the back line, you have to scour the weak to keep you safe, and of course the ultimate from your top lane Kayle. But in the actual 2 versus 2, Wukong does pretty effectively into you. You have the double clone to get on top of him, E as well, and that QUB deals a huge amount of damage. It only starts pivoting towards the level 11 once you get towards that second item power spike, as we will be seeing the Lucian Nami locked in from Diddy Kong. So team composition, very much front to back team fight, really strong top laner. My only problem is you don't have anyone to pair up with this Sejuani to get that passive to work out effectively. So your mid lane 2 versus 2 may look strong because of Syndra versus Corki, but once we get towards this late game, I am massively favouring the Bleh Cats, except for this random Blitzcrank pick. I can see how Blitzcrank could work well towards the Nami, could do well in towards the Syndra, but you have to be really good at executing this to a high level. As Dakin, I know he plays this champion, but does he play it well enough to be the do or die reason why Bleh Cats gets towards the finals or loses here to here today?
I could see the potential combo that they're looking for. You know, the Amumu bandage toss ult into a group, and Blitzcrank has the time to be able to run into that same group and pop the silence. Gives them that extra, you know, second of damage burst when they have the Corki, the Caitlyn, the Wukong all on top of them. So in these team fights, I can see the value, especially when you're playing into, you know, that Nami. So you can try to, as long as that Nami doesn't have bubble, you can walk up and try to grab that Nami, blow her up with the Caitlyn as well. So smart combos coming out from them. It looks like they're going heavy on CC here. They want to be able to lock down this Syndra, lock down that Lucian, make sure they cannot play the game in towards that bot side, and potentially see the first kind of bot 2v2 pressure that we haven't seen. We haven't seen any like real like bot 2v2 fighting at all in the first two games. So I'm curious to see whether having a Blitzcrank makes that bot lane a lot more volatile.
Yeah, I still don't think that the Blitzcrank is enough for Diddy Kong not to get that early game priority of the level 2. So for this whole entire game, Diddy Kong should have prior down there, especially when Imperial Mandate comes from that army. That's when we start seeing Martin being able to blow up anybody he truly wants to in this middle late game. But I don't really love any of these team comps. I like Bleh Cats a little bit more, as you do have this really good front to back team fight comp with the Wukong and Mumu being your front line and your double ADCs. But this Blitzcrank just feels a little tacked on, honestly, in my head. I think if you went for an enchanter, maybe even a Karma support could have been in a lot better of a situation. One side of Diddy Kong, they have one major tank short of the Sejuani, but it's not paired up with anything else. Maybe a Skarner could have been a lot better to pick up, or even any other sort of tank in that role. And especially towards the bot lane as well, I like the Lucian Nami combo, but I would have loved Melio a little bit more, as you can ult away that Amumu ultimate. And on top of it, Lucian Nami is super strong, but so is Melio with it.
Yeah. And Melio is one of those champions we're seeing picked up in replacement to that Nami a lot of the time, because he does have, you know, that extra shielding, the ability to be able to knock them back instead of lift them up with that bubble. And then of course he has for example, we're talking about the fact that the QUB comp is so heavily structured towards getting the CC off, keeping their key carries locked down. If you were to go for that Melio instead of the Nami, you would have that ultimate to be able to cleanse at least one of those abilities from multiple members of your team. Especially like if a Mumu ult, you just pop that Melio ult and then everyone is freed again. So we're going to have to see whether the Nami works out. The Nami helps the Lucian because she can, you know, drop all of her abilities, and every single ability that she drops on the Lucian gives him extra move speed, and Lucian needs that move speed to be able to reposition that ultimate and as he pops it. But we are going to be getting into this game number 3 very shortly. I will take the second while we are loading in to thank all of our wonderful sponsors who have been taking care of us this entire season. So Dogpatch Labs, Stack, GG Machines, PlayAid, KOKA. Thank you all so much for, you know, sponsoring the collegiate series. But we will be hopping into our final game of our best of 3. Zath, what do you think we're going to see at the start of this one?
Well, I think we might have some shenanigans early on. Have a not Fiddlesticks, that was last game, a Blitzcrank in your game, all 5 members together. Look, see if they can find an invade through this mid lane, while down towards the bot side, exact same thing, seeing if they can see each other. If they actually do fight, I am slightly favoring, of course, the blue team a little bit more. I think Lucian Syndra have just a little bit more damage in towards that arsenal, but we will have to see, as we do have a 1-4 composition coming out from the TUD side. as you have really big decisions for Mongolian Yeti. Do you want to try and focus around your top lane KO, or do you want to instead opt to help out Martin and Blazeboy by pushing their lead a little bit further and maybe looking for these tower dives?
Yeah, and very safe. All 5 members of TUD just going to group up to start off this one. Make sure that they don't give anything over. The QUB side go in, don't find anything, and leave once again. Now, the ward is towards that bot side on that red, which means, and it was spotted out as well by the Sejuani, so she's going to go up towards her blue side to start so that it will still give the same amount of information over, but she will actually be matching the Amumu moving towards this bot side.
Yeah, and I think this is a smarter play, especially from the Amumu, most importantly, because your Wukong will win out that 1v1 early on into the game. He's going to be able to stop Avi until that level 11 breakhold. So that means that you have to find a lead somewhere else onto the map, as this KO would be a massive wrench in their plans, because they don't have anybody late game who can try and match these side lanes. So you need this Caitlyn and especially this Corki to be winning out on this lane, and maybe that's the exact same idea Mongolian Yeti is thinking, is knowing that Kayle is going to scale completely fine, leave her on the side lane, and see if you could importantly help your bot lane find the lead, or maybe just keeping them safe enough where you can scale and let your Kayle become this late game monster.
Yeah, that is the case, and towards his top side now, bots and Avi just continuing to trade once again. They've been having fun up towards this top side this entire series.
They've been aggressive. Having as much fun as you could possibly have. It's nice hook.
Yeah, Blazeboy gonna walk into a trap and gonna eat a face full of Blitzcrank for it, but in the end, it's actually Martin getting the full combo onto Earthshaker, meaning that he actually gets a bit of an advantage coming out of that fight.
It's not just a bit of an advantage, that's a very big advantage. Personally, Martin is full HP because he wasn't the one hit. But Blazeboy, having that W to heal yourself and to heal alone as Ignite's gone down for Dakin, this bot lane, all you have to do on QUB is burst somebody out, but you just don't have the damage without your Amumu. So TD with high priority here, most likely just going to have everybody push him in. And if I was this Amumu, I would pivot away from this bot lane for now. And when these Skull Crabs come up, head towards the top side. I was thinking about Void Crabs, Rip-tailed, and Scuttle Crab all at the same time.
Now as another fight in towards this bot side, Martin gonna be chunked out, but not gonna be too much else. A little bit of a chunk or a bubble gonna land onto Earthshaker, but nothing else followed up. Bot's now going aggressive onto Avi, of course. Avi not ranged until that level 6, so is pretty, you know, vulnerable from the Wukong early on.
Does have that teleport available, so not too difficult just yet. As Amumu goes a Mongolian.
Yeah, Mongolian Yeti gonna spot him out there towards that bot side, and not going to be able to get much else for it. Scuttle will go over towards the side of TUD.
Be pivoting towards the top lane, should be able to get a Scuttle Crab of his own. Tempo-wise, about 5 to 10 seconds behind, but not really going to be mattering just yet. It's down towards the bot lane, Dakin and Earthshaker holding on for just now. Blazeball at full HP, but that healing costs so much mana down towards the bot side. So if they take another bad trade, there's actually a big opportunity for Earthshaker and Dakin to turn around this play if they don't reset on the side of TUD.
Now, TP back towards the top side from bots to come up and continue pushing this wave. Of course, Kayle still not level 6, so we'll still continue to have that advantage. But meanwhile, in the bot wave, push now going for the side of Earthshaker. Dakin going to get chunked out. Bubble going to land. This could potentially be a kill here. Dash forward from Martin, flash away. Dakin lives on 1 HP and manages to get away with his life.
But importantly, uses that flash. You're not going to be able to go for any flash W plays to stun somebody up. So it's a little bit harder towards the spot side. And this is what you expect when you go against that Lucian army, having a very weak early game. But still, 32 CS to 39, there isn't more than a 20 gold lead between both of these members. So far, QUB very much still happy in this game with how the bot lane's going, but they really would like to start opening the pace a little bit more. I think that could be around these Void Grubs spawning in 35 seconds.
Yeah, Void Grub's going to be up. We've seen the priority between the two different starting objectives, those Drake and those Grubs, changing between the teams as we've been going through this series. Of course, QUB had more of a priority on those Drakes early on. Zig going to have to flash away from the hook from the Blitzcrank. but will leave with his life. And now Drake has spawned, but pings out from Smelly Sausage on towards the Grubs, which are up in 10 seconds.
I really like the idea of getting yourself the grubs. Caitlyn got to push out that bot wave, so we'll be completely fine on their own. And with these void grubs, if they can get it on towards this Wukong, there's actually a big opportunity to look for a lot of tower dives up here with the Amumu CC and the Blitzcrank hook to get them out of tower. That's the way that they can really start opening the map. While on the side of TUD, I think you just go for this dragon scaling, get yourself in towards this late game.
Is found out in this jungle, and first blood will go over to the side of TUD.
I mean, it's just a little bit messy. He was trying to get towards the bot lane to support his Caitlyn, not noticing that the full enemy bot side wasn't his. And with the dragon getting taken down, free kill goes over towards the Blitzcrank, and he may not have died down towards the bot lane, but he does die in towards that play. Sadly enough, it does go over towards the Nami on TUD, so not the person you wanted, but you still take a kill like that.
Blaze Boy gonna get spotted on a ward, will have his base stopped by the Caitlyn, which is a bit unfortunate for him, but the wave pushing into the Caitlyn means that now she can potentially set up for a freeze here. I don't know if the wave is pushed too far for her to be able to actually freeze it. I think it may have hit, just landed underneath the tower.
There's a lot of things I can defend in League, Celtic. Many things. Do you know one thing I'm not going to defend? Avi buying Dark Sill on Kale at level 7 when nobody's been playing for you.
Yeah, we've seen this in the first game as well on the Gwen. Just immediately bought the first seal, the Dark Seal on first.
Gwen
base.
had 2 kills.
Yeah,
I'll accept the Gwen as an okay thing. Guys, please, in solo queue, do not do this. The main reason it's bad is because you scale fantastically into the game, but you still need item breakpoints, and you put yourself 350 gold behind. And I truly hope that I do eat my words and we see KO get another double kill like we saw on the Gwen, but it's practically impossible to do so unless bots has actually turned into a bot.
Yeah, and Abby, of course, has that level 6 breakpoint at the moment. So now into the ranged form for Kale. Can start to win out on this matchup, but Bot has to still be very, very careful because Bots just decides to all in Avi. He can get a lot of damage down, and as we can see, doesn't have grasp. Oh, the only thing is Bots doesn't have grasp, but he has that Conqueror. So we'll get the healing if he manages to get all the stacks up, but he's not as easily healed as if he was to have grasp like he did on the Ornn in the last match.
Yeah, as Amumu is hovering towards his top side, seeing if they can go for the outplay. Importantly, is not spotted out on a ward, so KO being very cautious on what they're trying to do here.
Sejuani down towards his bot side now, trying to see if they can find an angle in. Hasn't been spotted either, so could potentially, if the wave, the wave's pushing towards them though, so they can try to go in for a lane gank. Doesn't know if that middle pixel brush is actually warded, but Bot's now gonna go with the go in with the ultimate. Bandage shot's gonna land, but Kale has the ult of her own. Amumu gonna hit the ult on another bandage shot with the knock up from the second, the R2 from Bots, and perfect layering gives him over that kill. Ultimate or culling comes out from Martin, but it's not able to land it. Flash onto Earthshaker, but knock up from Dakin, so it lets them both survive and walk out together. Ultimate going to come in from the Caitlyn, but it will be blocked up by Mongolian Yeti.
Yeah, getting themselves out to safety, and both of these plays trying to work on opposite sides. QUB coming out as the victors up top, finding themselves a kill onto the Wukong, and that's exactly what you needed as Dakin.
Yeah, wave gonna come in, and Mongolian Yeti gonna find the first kill. Earthshaker has to just leave this one alone. The dive successful. Now, can TUD get out with their spoils? TP back towards the top side for the Wukong means that it's just gonna be Smelly Sausage and Wiggler here looking to continue this fight. Bandage shots will go wide, but Foster's bomb does land on towards Martin. Wiggler may have bitten off more than he can chew here. Will get stunned up, but everyone will walk away.
Yeah, getting themselves out towards safety, and it was a decent attempt from QUB. They wanted to try and defend their tower and give no tower plates over to TUD, but they were just too low, Earthshaker and Dakin. If they reset first of all, TUD wouldn't have been able to grab even more at the end of that, but they are finally getting themselves back onto the map, and we see a really nice rotation here. Note that they want to get themselves those second lot of Void Grubs to Avi in this late game, but this will take a while.
Repeat gang going to come in, hook going to land onto Avi. Doesn't have the ultimate available this time, and that will be enough. 2 kills now to that Wukong in the top side.
And this is why you don't get yourself as a Dark Seal on Avi. Has hit those Swiftness boots before. Level 11 will still be coming up. Can outscale the Wukong. But now having yourself a 900 gold deficit, it is going to take quite a while for that to happen. And even with really good map rotation from TUD getting themselves a numbers advantage, you are just a little too late on this play. So all 6 Void Grubs will be going over to the side of QUB. And with the Dragon not spawning for another 30 seconds, they have an option here to just pivot all 5 members down and look to play for this Dragon as well.
Yeah, and that would secure, and then you would assume that TUD are going to look for a fight around this Dragon as well. So potentially getting that last kill they need to secure the feats if they can get it first.
Yeah. There's one big thing that will happen if they do go for this play, which it does look like with bot stay down here, is KO's going to be unmatched towards the upside. An extra probably 300 gold will go in towards their pocket. Still a major fan of QUB doing this, as TUD have noticed that Wukong will be down here, should be giving this up for free, so he will finally reset and head towards the upside.
Yeah, KO going to now push. We'll potentially get 1, maybe 2 plates here with this wave, like you said, but it will only cut that gold lead in that top side down by 250 gold. So the advantage that Wukong got early on, still intact.
And when you think about the stats as well you get from these major objectives, he is round about that 900 gold still. So really well played from the side of QUB, and this has been one of their strengths. And you can see the veteranship over on the QUB side is that they know how to play the map movements around, standing when somebody goes top and somebody goes bot. As this graph is looking a lot different to the first graphs of the first game and the second one, as we saw Mount Everest in game 1 and Mount 2, and in this third one it's very up and down.
Yeah, it's completely dead even in the gold right now. 20k a piece at the 12-minute mark, and yeah, they're just gonna have to see what they can do. Stacking the Drakes as well for the side, or QUB already, getting those 3 objectives completed before even the 3 kills come through. Now gonna be looking to try see if they can finish off those feats. Dakin potentially had a hook angle over the wall, but will let BlazBoy walk away for the time being. Hook on a land, but it will just grab a minion.
Yeah, fortunately going to get themselves out to safety. The biggest goal is just trying to push out that wave as mid.
Wiggler gonna flash away from the Sejuani ult, very nicely timed. Had used the Valkyrie to try to go aggressive onto Zig, which may have got a better, but Abby gonna have to pop the ult. Bot's gonna go back in.
They're going to be fine here. Bots maybe overstepping, has that W, one last Q, and bonk, he's dead. Sejuani trying to find another outplay here. Montgomery and Yeti.
Yeah, Yeti trying to get something back here, but Bots is already out of the play, has gotten the kill, and has already left the building. That will be the feats completed for the side of QUB once again, and now try to push towards more gold into this Caitlyn's back pocket on this bot side.
Yeah, when you have yourself those 6 Void Grubs, you can really start shredding these towers as plans.
Huge damage coming down onto Martin, but the culling dealing a lot to Dakin. In the meantime, BlazBoy can potentially block that shot from the Caitlyn, so doesn't opt to pop it straight away. Syndra's roaming down here. Corky isn't aware. Now starting to, with the pings coming out, is going to start to move down here, but Dakin with the Empowered Recall after helping. Or sorry, because of the Synchronized Souls, will be able to get out with his life.
Yeah, but again, extra 2 tower plates towards the bot lane. 300 gold. Earthshaker is over Martin, and even Corky in the mid lane pushing out this way for free, and can use this tempo to move towards the top side. Remember, no ultimate available for Avi. Absolutely abusing this KO.
Yeah, flash from Smelly Sausage and Avi out. Of course, Avi, no ultimate available. So Smelly Sausage will spot him out in the jungle as well, and bots will just be free to catch that wave. But now with Herald coming up and, 3 members off towards the top side for QUB, you could see them potentially look to get another objective.
And I really have to praise the lane management from bots here. Understanding that if he keeps himself a freeze, Avi just isn't able to, most importantly, get XP and gold in towards their pocket. So he always keeps this wave super close towards his tower. So whenever he slightly oversteps, like we saw beforehand, he just looks for that full tower dive. So maybe QUB can leverage this to find another kill up top, but hopefully not, as we do have the dragon spawning in 1 minute 20, and that will be the major objective for both of these teams to fight for.
Wiggler now having to lane in towards Martin with that Syndra down towards the bot side after that move. But now we can see the lane gank potentially coming in from Smelly Sausage. Will get spotted on a ward here though, so not going to be as successful as they would like. Martin and BlazBoy have now actually grouped up here. Dakin got to land the grab onto BlazBoy, but won't be able to follow up with anything else.
Ooh, that banish toss was just millimeters off being able to land there. Could have got a 2-man ultimate and won a big team fight. But so far, TUD holding on decently well. Wiggler does need to be careful.
Yeah, Culling going to come out. Wiggler taking out very low, and it will be finally a kill going back over to the side of TUD.
And he was looking for the outplay, wasn't he? If he could find that, he would have been great. But bot.
So Curse of the Sad Mummy got to come in, and it will stun up the Syndra for the time being. Dakin now in no man's land trying to get away, but will just be smited away by Mongolian Yeti, who is continuing to chase the Earthshaker, who flashes away due to not having enough mana.
Yeah, that bot lane tower still being at full max stats for another 5 seconds. He does just completely go down to that. But 1 for 1, not too bad on the QUB side. Dragon up and available in the next minute, or sorry, the next couple seconds. Because of that, TUD in a really advantageous position if they want to start this up, as Caitlyn still needs to find that reset. But with KOKA TPing towards the mid lane, it doesn't make it as easy, as both of these teams are just keep battling back and forth. And you have to say this massively favors TUD, as Avi's finally hit that level 11 mark and can start contesting bots up towards the top side.
Yeah, gonna have to do what they can here to try and get back in against this QUB side. Drake now available, as well as the Herald, but move once again in the favor of QUB. Mongolian Yeti is going to spot out Dakin in this jungle here. Smelly Sausage is here, but there's no other coverage from the side of QUB right now, so Dakin might just be dead before this fight even starts. Wiggler coming to try help his team, now going to catch on to the Lucian, and that's Martin down.
Yeah, even more damage coming out from both of these teams. We do have, of course, the Dragon being started. No major AD carry of Martin. Lucian not very strong when they're both alive. Not so strong when one of them is dead. Though, because of that second Dragon over to the side of QUB, only 2 Dragons away from getting themselves a sole point, and that could be a major break point for QUB to get themselves the victory in this game, especially when it is going to be that Cloud Soul. It's the extra movement speed coming out from their ultimates, especially the Wukong, could really help them get on towards this back line and try to burst them out in these team fights.
Yeah, and bots now back up towards the top side, back in towards that KL. All TPs down except for Ziggs. As this Herald now starting to come up, which is the right decision, putting Zig towards that bot lane, knowing that the Herald, if they do opt to fight for this Herald, that they can TP up away, but you are opting to give up that bot tower to Wiggler if you do.
Yeah, really difficult situation to be in. They need to try and find a hook, and oh, it is so close. The power of Blitzcrank is once you start finding leads in this game, get vision in jungle, you could play around the pocket of visions like you saw there to give Dakin an opportunity to try and look for these hooks, as they will be looking towards a mid lane to crack open inhibitor, or sorry, this mid lane tower, but not the inhibitor just yet. And with these 6 Void Grubs, they're in a very solid position to do so.
And of course, we will see the Fnatic pause hack coming in.
Would it be League without it?
No, not at all. We're gonna have to see what we come out of this pause, what's gonna happen. But right now it looks like QUB are going to be looking towards to get that mid tower so they can get some more priority into the enemy jungle, with these 6 Void Grubs being able to just burst that tower down. But Earthshaker being respectful, doesn't want to push too hard, doesn't want to give up any potential kills. You know, still has 170 gold shutdown. And you can see the pings coming up towards this top side once again. 4 on towards Avi. Has the ultimate available, doesn't have the flash for another couple seconds, so will need to be quick on the draw here.
I will politely respect Avi's death before we can even see it. The only chance they're getting out is that Mumu isn't able to find the bandage. Toss, not going to go under the tower. Avi surviving for just long enough to get themselves out. 1 item completed, level 12 in the pocket. Remember, Chaos starts becoming super strong 4 levels later, so still needs another 5-10 minutes max until we get towards that point. as this Rift Herald should be started, should be taken up by QUB. Very happy to scale towards this late game. As the question now comes down to, is QUB accelerating the game enough? Because yes, they've gained themselves the top lane tower. Oh, sorry, yes, they gained themselves a little bit of a gold lead. But honestly, it's only 1,000 gold. That isn't as much as you would want to have 20 minutes in against the KO.
Yeah, you really want to be, you know, Avi being a level down on bots. Not ideal, but like you said, when you're in that matchup into a kill, you are trying to deny as much XP as possible so that they cannot get to that level 16 breakpoint, cannot like scale, and it takes so longer to scale into that late game so that you actually have time to break down these towers and get into where, you know, the tier 2s, tier 3s. But right now, all I see is QUB are actually finding it kind of hard to finally break these tier 1 towers. And the longer that TUD can just stall and keep these towers alive, the more that Avi can come alive in this game.
As I completely agree with you, because when you have a Caitlyn, Blitzcrank, and a Mimu in the jungle, your biggest goal is to play as a 3-man unit and pivot around taking tower after tower after tower. When you're taking all of the outer towers, you keep going in more and more. Again, a lot of pressure in this game, but they haven't been able to crack open the first tower, which hasn't let them get towards the second. And when this snowball doesn't happen, you have this really weird Caitlyn mid-game trough where you try to make these plays, but it's just super difficult to do so. As you can see on your screen here, Caitlyn, yes, she has a lot of damage, but she doesn't have enough to really start extending this lead without the help.
Yeah, Caitlyn with the ace in the hole. Not going to be able to do a whole lot here. Dakin caught out once again. Will use the Q to knock up Mongolian Yeti, but the culling coming in from the Lucian. Smelly Sausage going to be able to get the Curse of the Sad Mummy down on top of him to stop that culling from getting any more damage off. Wiggler now here to help out the team, and bots as well TP'd in towards mid so they can continue to try to chase here. But was the TP the right call? Because now Avi's going to push and take this tier 1.
Yeah, we'll have to see if they can get this mid lane tower. If they can, I would say it's worth it, but it's so difficult. 6 Void Grubs should be able to do so. KO getting themselves a little bit more gold towards the top side. And this is the exact problem that QUB are having. Yes, they're winning out on these plays, but they're having to use every single thing for it. And when you do that, even if TUD lose out and Avi gets himself a tower, maybe even just the XP of that wave, you always have that ticking time bomb. Level 14, 2 levels away from being that massive power spike before you can start seeing KO join these fights. No flash available, but still in a very solid position.
Wiggler going to take this bot tier 1 as well. And now with the Atakan going to be spawning on towards this bot side, we will be seeing the GA Atakan coming up once again. Mongolian Yeti actually going to catch out Wiggler here and stop the base. And look at the time. Mongolian Yeti, Wiggler was too busy shopping, didn't notice that Mongolian Yeti was there to stun under the tower, but not followed by the knockup. Unleash power from Zig, and that's going to be another kill going over to TUD.
And do they want to start this Atakan? No damage from the Lucian being nearby. It looks like they will just go for this bot lane tower. So a huge play coming out for them as Dragon will be available. Answers there as Blitzcrank and Caitlyn all alone towards this mid, seeing if they can bait out this Caitlyn, see if he wants to walk into them.
Martin going to be caught underneath the tower, and that's just going to be a free kill over to Earthshaker. Bit unfortunate that he got chased into the tower there, but that majorly gives a 30-second death timer on towards, you know, the TUD side, meaning that this is another Drake going to be stacked up for the side of QUB. Now, luckily, it's not Ruinous Atakan, so they're not getting an extra 25% buff if they were to take it. But 3 Drakes in 23 minutes, and they're just going to go Drake into Atakan here.
Yeah, and this is exactly what you want to see. They need to push the pace of the game as they find a hook.
Yeah, knock up onto Mongolian Yeti, and ultimate coming out as well for the Sejuani, but look at these Caitlyn traps, just stopping them from getting in and able to do so much damage as well. Every time they stand on one of the traps, Caitlyn puts another one up, but another hook over the wall lands on, but the Kale ult onto the Sejuani is huge to keep her alive, but it's not going to matter because the rest of her team cannot get in.
Dakin, you are a very lucky person. Hooking over Sejuani over that wall, 2,000 below, on towards that major objective. There was actually an opportunity for TUD to ult it away because of the KO ultimate coming down to survive it. But fortunately, QUB winning out on that team fight. And it all came down to that choke point you talked about. Caitlyn using those traps to make it where TUD was never able to walk in. And now with Atakan in their pocket, 1,500 gold lead on your AD carry, finishing those 2.5 items, and especially this Wukong up there, level 15, still winning out in that 1v1. I want to see the side of QUB play towards this top side, look to try and get pressure around this Baron. Whilst the TUD, they're still having that ticking time bomb. Avi so close towards that level 16, only 1.5 levels off, and almost has that death cap as well.
Herald now in towards this mid, but it doesn't have a pilot, so will just be used as a distraction so that they can look towards this Baron. Smelly Sausage is on their way, and with a Caitlyn Gorky, they should be able to deal a lot of damage to this and potentially try to burst it out before there can even be a chance for their TUD side to come in. And yeah, they have absolutely no vision. They have no idea that this is even happening.
Yeah, and we talked about the double AD composition. This is the exact way they stole the Baron before, and they've done it yet again as they now want this mid wave and maybe looking for a fight.
Ace in the hole lands onto Mongolian Yeti. Not the target you want, but at least it's some damage down. And yeah, just going to walk away with a completely free Baron on the side of QUB.
Yeah, towards the top side, Avi clearing out another wave. It's going to be difficult to play off that for the next 40 seconds. And now QB have to decide how are they going to use this Baron to push the game. Do they want to pivot towards the bot lane, which I would do, as you have 2 minutes 30 until the next major objective. And with this Ruinous Atakan, honestly, I think QB just go in, force this fight. As worst case you die, you can just respawn.
Yeah, Earthshaker will be finding that out. Will actually burn the barrier. Didn't realize he had the GA, I guess, and that will be a double. He actually burned both sums with the GA as well. Tried to keep the buff going a little bit longer, but doesn't lose his Baron is the main thing because of the Atakan buff.
And it's messy. They push out the bot wave, and then you have 2 members all alone, allowing them to get picked off. So now QB still trying to make this play. Caitlyn's fully in the base, and Corky isn't nearby yet. So QB still going to be able to make this work. Going to get this bot lane tower, at least get it to half HP.
Yeah, looking to engage here. They will spot out Mongolian Yeti, who's looking for the flank now. Wiggler has come in for the flank as well. A lot of damage being put down. Ace in the hole coming in. Will land at the Mongolian Yeti. The Ignite will tick, but won't be able to kill him. But it will be another tower down. Syndra going to be hooked by the Blitzcrank, followed up by an ult from bots, landing onto the majority of the TUD team. Kalo's going to keep them up for a little bit longer, but it looks like QUB smells some blood in the water and want to try finish this game. BlazeBoy got to be hooked as well and taken away.
And they just cracked open this base way too quickly. Avi, he wanted to get towards his power spike. He needs level 16, but 3 members versus 5. This is going to be hard.
Yeah, they just want to try to end the game here. Death timers 20 seconds on 2 members of the side of TUD. These towers will fall. And it's all on the 3 remaining members of TUD to keep their dream alive of going to finals. Avi taken down very low. Smelly Sausage has gone deep and got to be taken out for it, but traded for Mongolian Yeti. Now goes in the Lucian, but can't find anything. Avi will fall, and there were all 5 members of TUD will, as well as their Nexus, and QUB will be going to finals.
Yeah, and nobody was expecting that. The first seed against the 4th, QB coming out with all expectations of winning it. And this has to come down to the veterans of the team. So many of them on their final year of uni. And it's really showing 3 years of that competitive experience. And the way they played those last team fights, 22 minutes in, it was almost dead even. And then 5 minutes later, the game ended. They did so well of using their objective control to get themselves to Baron, push out this mid lane, get that Atakan, and then finally finish the game afterwards.
Yeah, they did a great job of just it was very even into that mid game, you know, six kills apiece. But then it just came down to Martin getting caught a couple times, BlazeBoy getting caught a couple times, and Mongolian Yeti constantly just finding Dakin in the jungle. But every time he tried to go for these fights, QUB were so much faster to collapse because Avi was having to use these teleports to get back to lane, constantly having to use the ult in lane because he was just continuously under pressure. And when it came down to it, it meant that bots could move first for all of these mid-game fights. And yes, Avi may be able to push for a couple extra waves or a tower, but bots was getting so much else with his team.
Yeah, so we do have now 100% QB in the grand finals. Now, Heltic, I know, of course, there's been a second stream of one of the players, Cephalon, having that, so maybe we can take a quick check over and see how that game is. But while we're waiting for that, for you guys at home, remember the 12th of next month, so that is probably 2 weeks away on the Saturday, we will be having the grand finals. Hopefully I will be there. Hopefully Celtic will be there as well. This will be an absolutely fantastic time. But please don't go anywhere as we need to find out what happened in that other game.
And we are back.
Welcome back.
And we know who's going to finals as well.
Yep, we are in sync. And of course, being more Irish than me, I'm going to do the round of applause, which nobody can hear because my mic's too good. Tell us who the team is.
It will be QUB Bleh Cats versus TUD Meow in our ICS Spring 2025 finals. Yeah.
I'm just saying, cats are better than dogs. Seems like Ireland Collegiate Series is completely agreeing with us.
Yep.
Remember, this is going to be on the 12th at 4 p.m. UK and, of course, Ireland and Northern Ireland time because it's about us, you know, as a community, as a team. And so far, it's been an absolutely blast to cast all three of these games. We get to see, you know, the Silver Scrapes, or better known as the Bronze Scrapes, for the best of three. And Celtic, coming towards the third game, I truly can't call who was going to win it. And for them to be so close to getting towards that level 16 mark on the KO, be level 15, only slivers away, and the Nexus exploding in front of you, it must really hurt for this TUD side. But fortunately, at least their sister teams can actually win it in the final.
Yeah. And like I said at the beginning of the stream, QB are running the full TUD gauntlet. They are going to play against all three TUD teams that qualified for playoffs to be able to win out this season. They were against TUD Gibbons in the quarterfinals. They were against TUD tonight, and they're against TUD Meow in 2 weeks' time in our grand finals. And yeah, if QB win out this one, I think they've taken the full victory lap on TUD.
Yeah, I'm just trying to look at both of these teams. So we didn't actually have, of course, QUB Bleh Cats actually getting revenge for, of course, QUB Krakens, the other team that did get taken out by UCD, not TUD, so nothing really major coming out there. But Celtic, I think it's been an absolutely incredible 3-game series. I just want to say massively a thank you for you guys for watching. Of course, Irish Collegiate Series could never be a thing without you guys. But if you don't have any closer statement, we can end it here.
Yeah, last thing to say is, of course, thank you very much to our sponsors, Dogpatch Labs, KOKA, Logitech, GG Machines, PlayAid, Stack. Thank you all very much for sponsoring the Ireland Esports Collegiate Series. But we will be back next week, I believe, with the third place match between UCD Leviathans A and TUD. But that's going to be it for us this evening. We hope you all enjoyed this semi-finals matchup, and we will see you all next week.